Chapter 22:18. Gosh, am I seeing a level 7 or level 8 astral tattooist? Tian Yuan and the others were dumbfounded. They wondered if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Tianyan had erased a large number of astral tattoos in an instant. Soon he had easily erased the area controlled by the heavenly star ring. Then he went back to where Tian Yuan was. Leave it to me. Tianyan ignored their shocked expressions. He took up Tian Yuan's position and started to erase the astral tattoos quickly. In less than a moment, the star patterns on it were quickly and thoroughly erased, leaving the door completely blank. All right. Tianyan pushed the gate forward without hesitation. In the absence of star runes, this door was just a slightly thicker door. With a forceful push, the door was pushed open. As soon as the gate was pushed open, the aura of treasures poured out from inside. When it was fully opened, they saw a treasure floating in the air at the center. Upon a closer look, they found it was a star venerable level treasure. They had never expected there to be a star venerable level treasure in this treasure trove. They were really lucky. Normally, not all treasure troves had star venerable level treasures. Sometimes, there were other kinds of treasures, not necessarily star venerable level. They could be galaxy level treasures, or a batch of elixirs. Of course, they could also be empty. At this place, there was a treasure floating in midair. It's a star venerable level treasure. We are so lucky. We will find one soon. Tian Yuan and the others were extremely excited. They would get one soon. If they handed it over, the heavenly star ring would be free. But after coming to themselves, they hesitated for a while and said to Tianyan, "Brother E, this treasure should be yours." "Why?" Tianyan said with a faint smile. "Didn't we agree that we would take turns to get one?" "That's true, but you broke the killing formation. You even broke the gate." The two of them were extremely embarrassed. Thinking about it carefully, they realized they had not done anything at all. If it weren't for Tianyan, who knew how long it would take for them to get in. "Didn't you guys provide a map? Just this map alone is enough." Tianyan said with a smile. "Map?" Tian Yuan said awkwardly. "Even without this map, Brother E would only need to spend a little more time relying on his own strength." This time, they felt very embarrassed. Although they really wanted to take this treasure, when they thought about how they didn't do much, they couldn't take it. "Alright, there's no need to worry about these things. We've already agreed that we'll take turns, so we'll take turns." Tianyan shrugged and said with an indifferent expression. "Instead of being conflicted here, why don't we hurry up and get the treasures, then go look for other treasures? If you really feel embarrassed, you can join my force and help me fend off the giant beast race." Tianyan smiled. What he said next was a simple and crude attempt to rope him in. How could he let go of two Grand Star Venerables? "Deal." Tian Yuan nodded and said, "We've been thinking about whether we should establish our own sect or join another force. Since Brother E is so loyal, we'll join your force." They wanted to train outside, but that didn't mean they would stay outside forever. They still wanted to establish their own force. Now that Tianyan had invited them, and Tianyan was quite capable and had a good character, they basically hit it off. The heavenly star ring nodded. They had considered joining Tianyan's force before, but the heavenly clan had been chasing them. But they have been hunted by the Tian family, and joining Tianyan is basically equivalent to implicating him. Now that they got the treasure, they could completely leave the heavenly clan. So there wouldn't be any problems joining Tianyan's force. Okay. Tianyan's eyes lit up. Treasures were dead, but people were alive. For him, living people were the most important thing. "Then I won't stand on ceremony. I'll take the first treasure first." Tian Yuan was very excited. He came forward quickly and opened his hand. The star venerable level treasure was enveloped in his hand. He was going to pull it out. However, the star venerable level treasure was firmly attached to it. It looked like it would take a lot of effort to pull it out. "Let's wait here. It won't be a problem to get the treasure. It'll just take some time." Tianyan took a look at Tian Yuan. It wouldn't be a problem for him to get the treasure. Given Tian Yuan's strength, it wouldn't be a problem for him to get the treasure. At this moment, a group of people suddenly appeared at the gate. "It's a star venerable level treasure." Chu Hutong and the others stared at the treasure Tian Yuan was pulling with greed in their eyes. They could tell what level it was at first glance. The heavenly star ring became vigilant as soon as they saw them. The Chu family was one of the best big families. They had sent 7 grand star venerables, including 3 in the late stage. That was enough to show how strong they were. The other geniuses in the late stage of the star venerable level were not included. It wouldn't take long for another group of grand star venerables to appear. The Chu family and the Zhu family were both the best. They were one of the strongest families on the Red Moon planet. The heavenly star ring was really nervous now that they were here. If they fought, they wouldn't be able to resist them. I didn't expect you to open a gate so quickly. And there is even a star venerable level treasure inside. Chu Hutong laughed and said, "Now, I'll give you 2 options. You can either leave now, or we will force you to leave. Make your choice." Chu Hutong was very overbearing. He would be a fool if he didn't fight against a star venerable level treasure. Yi Tianyun's eyes turned cold. He hadn't expected them to come so quickly. It seemed Jing Xian wasn't weak. She had found the right way to the killing formation so quickly. She wasn't much slower than him. This ability was really amazing. Jing Xian was really a super genius. In terms of deduction ability, she was definitely the strongest he had ever seen. "Don't be so nervous. I'm here." Yi Tianyun looked calm. He told the heavenly star ring not to panic. The heavenly star ring was struck dumb. How could they not panic? There were 7 grand star venerables in front of them, including 3 in the late stage. It was impossible for them not to panic. Not bad. No wonder they dared to fall out with the Tian family and the Mu family. Chu Hutong said with a smile. If the Tian family and the Mu family were here, I might be a bit scared. But now, Chu Hutong took a few steps forward. He said with a smile, "Do you think the 3 of you can stop them?" "Great Elder, let's go," Jing Xian, who was at the side, suddenly said. "What?" Chu Hutong thought he had misheard. Jing Xian wanted them to leave. Chapter 22:19. Jing Xian had asked her people not to fight. That was beyond everyone's expectations. Tian Xinghuan was even more surprised. She did not think that Jing Xian would choose to leave because of her. She had met Jing Xian a few times, but only a few times. She wouldn't give up a star venerable treasure because of that. "Why?" Chu Hutong asked, frowning. "No reason. There are other areas waiting for us to explore. We won't fight with them," Jing Xian said, glancing calmly at Yi Tianyun. "There are only 3 of them, while we have 7. Our cultivations and numbers are much higher than theirs. Even if we fight, we won't suffer any losses." Chu Hutong still couldn't understand. They had the absolute advantage, but they had given up. It made him feel like he was going crazy. Chu Hutong wasn't being arrogant in terms of numbers and cultivations. They were basically suppressing their opponents in every aspect. In such a situation, they would be stupid not to fight for the treasure. There might be many star venerable treasures in the purple gold divine pavilion, but who would complain about having more star venerable treasures? If they could get one, they would get one. No one would complain about having more. Moreover, the inner area of the purple gold divine pavilion was not a place that could be entered easily. This was also the reason why very few people had obtained star venerable level treasures all this time. Some treasures were obviously there, but you couldn't get them. That was the biggest problem. "Grand Elder, let's go." Jing Xian turned around and left. She didn't respect the Grand Elder. "All right." Chu Hutong sighed. He left with Jing Xian with the other elders. They didn't fight for the treasure. That was the Grand Elder, but Jing Xian treated him like this. Yi Tianyun was surprised. She didn't just listen to Jing Xian, she didn't get angry. That made him think Jing Xian's status was even higher. Her cultivation might not be the highest, but it seemed she was even stronger than the Grand Elder. After they left, Heavenly Star Ring heaved a sigh of relief. "They're finally gone. I thought I had no choice but to give them up." If they chose to give up, Chu Hutong and the others would not pursue the matter, and would directly let them go. If they could avoid fighting, they would definitely not fight. Killing them wouldn't bring them any benefits. If they were to go all out and injure their side, It would definitely affect them greatly. Therefore, if they could avoid fighting here, they would basically avoid fighting. Unless they encountered a shocking treasure, they would have to fight. This Miss Jing Xine is quite interesting. Yi Tianyun rubbed his chin as he watched them leave. I'll remember this. Next time I encounter such a situation, I'll choose to let them go. Young Master Yi, they have 7 great star venerables. Can you defeat them? Heavenly Star Ring was shocked. It's hard to say. Yi Tianyun smiled mysteriously. He was not afraid of facing 7 great star venerables. He was not sure who would win if they fought. At least if he wanted to escape, he could escape at any time. No one could stop him. Under such circumstances, it was hard to say who would die. However, Jing Xine had left with them. Theoretically, they had avoided a great loss. Even if Yi Tianyun could not kill all of them, he could at least kill most of them. When they took revenge later, that would be the most terrifying. Heavenly Star Ring looked at him suspiciously, but did not say anything. She felt Yi Tianyun was becoming more and more mysterious. She had found Yi Tianyun mysterious ever since she saw his cultivation improve by leaps and bounds. She did not know how he cultivated. Maybe Yi Tianyun really had a trump card that could kill many of his opponents. While they were talking, Jing Xine and the others turned a corner and went to another area. Jing Xine, what's going on? Why didn't we rob them? Chu Hutong asked after they left. He could not ask in front of Yi Tianyun and the others. I have a bad feeling. I feel that Special Great Star Venerate has a special power. If he explodes, we might be in danger. Jing Xine said with a frown. I can't describe it. Anyway, I don't want to have a conflict with him. Is that even possible? Chu Hutong frowned. Then he shook his head and said, forget it. Since it's your feeling, let's just go with it. Your feeling has never been wrong. Yeah. Jing Xine's feeling has never been wrong. Especially with the help of the unique Star Dharma idol, she can infer many things. We'd better believe it to avoid any bad consequences. It's a pity to give up a star venerable treasure, but we have to play it safe. Maybe there are a lot of star venerable treasures waiting for us in another area. Chu Tianla smiled optimistically. They all chose to listen to Jing Xine. They did not have any complaints. Because Jing Xine's feeling was not correct only once. It was correct almost every time. That was why they chose to believe her. Although they thought they could still fight for it, they had to give up to avoid any accidents. According to the map, we only need to make a detour to reach the next treasury. Chu Hutong took out the map and spread it out to check the information on it. If Yi Tianyun and the others were here, they would find that the map was exactly the same as the one they had. The signs and the positions of the circles were exactly the same. Yi Tianyun and the others were guarding the gate. Tian Yuan was about to subdue the star venerable treasure, so no one dared to come in for the moment. It's done. Tian Yuan shouted in pleasant surprise. The light in his hand soared and sucked the star venerable level treasure into his hand. He grasped it firmly and took complete control of the star venerable level treasure. After sensing it carefully, Tian Yuan exclaimed, "No wonder it's a star venerable treasure. I feel my power has been greatly enhanced when I hold it. I can even fight with someone at a higher level. No wonder so many forces are scrambling for it. They don't want to give up such a treasure." Tian Yuan sighed. However, they would have to hand it in before they left. But compared to his sister's freedom, this treasure was nothing. Let's go. Let's go to the next place. Let's go before the other practitioners come. Yi Tianyun nodded and said, Okay. The Chu family really scared me when they showed up. I thought they were going to rob us. Fortunately, Jing Xine asked them to leave. That's strange. Tian Yuan found it very strange. He really thought they had to give up. Well, we don't want to clash with them anyway. Yi Tianyun said with a smile and continued to lead them forward. After making a detour, they ran into Jing Xine and the others again. They were busy breaking the star patterns on the treasury. This time, they turned around and left. They didn't stay there. Chapter 22:20. After circling around for a while, they found another treasure house, and then they started to explore the treasure house without the slightest hesitation. Thanks to Yi Tianyun's shocking speed, they witnessed the miracle of destroying it within seconds. The star patterns on the door were erased in a short while. It was extremely easy. After pushing open the heavy door, what they saw was not any star venerable level treasure, but some elixirs. They went in and searched for a while. There were not many elixirs, but they were of high quality. They were much worse than star venerable level treasures. These elixirs had some effect on them, but it was not obvious. They had a good effect on star venerables. For them, the effect was average. This was not unexpected. Not all treasury vaults had a large number of treasures or star venerable level treasures. If that were the case, star venerable level treasures would have been everywhere outside. After all, many of the treasury vaults had been opened, but there were still very few star venerable level treasures outside. They had almost never been seen. Even if there were, they would only be clan treasures. They would not be taken out unless it was a critical moment. No one knew what the rules of how the treasures were placed in the violet gold divine pavilion. In any case, there were some scattered treasures inside. Some of the treasury vaults were even empty. This was the most frustrating thing. They had worked so hard for nothing, yet they could not find a single treasure. That would make them want to vomit blood. They are all elixirs. What a pity. Tian Yuan sighed and said, "Then we can only look for the next treasury. Let's see if we can find star venerable level treasures quickly. That will depend on luck. If we can find it, we will find it. If we can't, there is nothing we can do." Yi Tianyun had a smile on his face, as if he did not care about this. He did not regard treasures as dirt. It was just that this was not his target. In any case, the violet gold divine pavilion key was not used to open these treasure vaults. If it could be used to open the treasury, they would be able to plunder all the treasures effortlessly. Brother Yi, your state is pretty good. Any other Grand Star Venerable would be hopping mad. After spending so much effort, I still couldn't find the treasure. That kind of mood is extremely bad. Tian Yuan smiled and said, "But Brother Yi is different. His speed is too fast. If you have the ability, your mentality will be different." In his opinion, the fact that Yi Tianyun could have such a mentality meant that he was extremely capable. For example, a treasure could take hundreds of years to forge. Some people spent hundreds of years, only to fail at the last moment. How would they feel? If someone were to forge the same treasure, they would only spend a few days. Even if they failed, they wouldn't feel it was a pity. Yi Tianyun was able to break through the star runes so easily. Even if there were no treasures inside, it wouldn't make him feel bad. Something like that. Yi Tianyun didn't explain too much. Anyway, no one could guarantee anything, so he didn't want to explain the situation. Shortly after, they rushed to the next treasury, and when they arrived, they saw Jing Xian and the others breaking the star runes on the treasures. This meant that they had already broken through the second one. Their speed was quite shocking. Compared to Yi Tianyun's team, they were slower, but overall, their speed was quite shocking. It's them again. We ran into them again. Tian Yuan was stunned. They had run into them before, but now they ran into them again. After all, there were many treasures in this area, and there were many detours. Every passage could lead to a different area. However, they ran into them again, which made them feel very strange. What a coincidence. They've met us again. However, the speed at which they break through is really fast. Chu Hutong and the others were startled. Soon after, they laughed. If it wasn't for Jing Xian telling them not to attack, it could be said that they wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. Tian Yuan glanced at them and said, "Let's go to the next area. We can't break through this treasury anymore." Tian Xinhuan nodded. When he left with Tian Yuan, he found that Yi Tianyun was standing still, looking at Jing Xian. "Young Master Yi, why aren't you leaving?" Tian Xinhuan asked. They were afraid that if they stayed any longer, Chu Hutong and the others would change their minds. After all, they had appeared so many times, it was possible that they would change their minds. "I have to ask something. There's something strange about this." Yi Tianyun took a few steps forward and asked, "Miss Jing Xian, did you find the purple gold divine pavilion's treasury map?" His bold question not only stunned the other party, but also Tian Yuan and the others. What did Yi Tianyan mean? How did this guy know that we have the purple gold divine pavilion's treasury map? Chu Hutong and the others were shocked. They had done a good job of keeping it a secret. No one would know that they had the treasury map. Jing Xian's beautiful eyes flickered. After staring at Yi Tianyan for a moment, she slowly said, "Yes, we have the treasury map. I wonder if you have any questions?" Jing Xian answered so straightforwardly without the slightest bit of concealment, which surprised them. Chu Hutong wanted to say something, but he didn't. He just wanted to explain that they had the treasury map. It wasn't like they were showing it to others. In any case, they had enough power to protect the treasury map, so it wasn't a big deal. But if he said it so bluntly, wouldn't it bring them some trouble? "Can I take a look?" Yi Tianyan asked directly. This was too much. Chu Hutong looked like he was looking at an idiot. He had the treasure map, so why would he show it to others? Wasn't this the same as exposing the information? Just when he thought that Yi Tianyan was an idiot and was about to retort, Jing Xian actually replied, "Yes." Then Jing Xian really took out the treasure map under his dumbfounded eyes. This almost made Chu Hutong vomit blood. He began to suspect that Jing Xian was Yi Tianyan's woman. She actually took out the treasure map directly? Jing Xian was very generous. She waved the treasure map in front of them. The contents inside couldn't be seen in its entirety, but at least a small part could be seen. As expected, Yi Tianyan also took out the treasure map and flicked it forward. He said indifferently, "Miss Jing Xian, it seems like you're the same as me. You've deduced some information, right?" Jing Xian received the treasure map that Yi Tianyan flicked over. She glanced at it and gave it to Yi Tianyan. "That's right. I've guessed it as well." Jing Xian smiled. She met Yi Tianyan's gaze with some admiration. What's going on? Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't know what the two were talking about. Chu Hutong and the others could see that Yi Tianyan also had a map? It's very simple. The treasure map that this young master has is exactly the same as ours, Jing Xian said calmly. What? Chapter 22-21. Jing Xian's words had a huge impact on them. The treasure maps that they had obtained through untold hardships and relying on fortuitous encounters were actually exactly the same. Not to mention the Chu clan. Even Tian Yuan and the others were stunned. They had always thought that their map was absolutely unique. But now, they discovered that there was another treasure map, and it was exactly the same. The exact same treasure map. Chu Hutong was stunned and said in disbelief, "That's impossible. Our Chu clan paid such a huge price to dig it out of a dangerous place. Now you're telling me that it's not unique? See for yourselves if it's the same or not." Yi Tianyan very generously flicked it forward. Since Jing Xian was so generous, he naturally wouldn't be stingy. Moreover, it was the exact same, so he wasn't worried that Chu Hutong would snatch it away. After Chu Hutong received it, he looked it up and down. His expression instantly darkened, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. If there was an extra copy, wouldn't that be the same as exposing their treasure map? Based on this, as long as they eliminated Yi Tianyan's side, wouldn't the treasure map not be exposed? Are you trying to silence us so that the treasure map will be unique? Yi Tianyan smiled and completely exposed Chu Hutong's inner thoughts. Tian Yuan and the others' expressions darkened. They also felt the killing intent from Chu Hutong, and immediately felt that Yi Tianyan was a bit rash. Although they could verify that both sides had the same map, this would undoubtedly incite Chu Hutong's anger, and make him want to silence them. What do you think? Chu Hutong sneered. The other elders all took a step forward with a domineering killing intent. At this moment, Jing Xian said indifferently, "First elder, you don't need to be like this. It's meaningless." This young master dared to say it, so he must have his own thoughts, or rather, his thoughts are the same as mine. Lady Jing Xian, it seems like you guessed the same as me? Yi Tianyan smiled. It should be the same. Perhaps there isn't just one copy of this map, but many. Jing Xian revealed an even more shocking news. How is this possible? There are many copies of this map? Chu Hutong's killing intent was immediately extinguished. If there were a lot of them, then what was the point of silencing them? In this way, everything became meaningless. The blow to Chu Hutong and the others became even more exaggerated. If even Tian Yuan was shocked, then didn't that mean they hadn't done anything at all? This is just my speculation, but the possibility is very high. Your map was obtained from the so-called danger zone. According to what I know, the Mu clan also obtained a treasure map. As for the details, I'm not sure if it's the same as ours or not. According to my deductions, it should be similar. Yi Tianyan had seen such a treasure map in Mu Yongsu's memories. She only knew that they had obtained the treasure map, but Mu Yongsu had not seen what the treasure map looked like. She had only received the news, but before she could see it, Yi Tianyan had already killed her. As for the other great clans, I think they should have the treasure map as well. When I came in, I saw that they were very proactive and excited. Looking at their confident looks, I'm afraid they have also found a similar treasure map. Yi Tianyan shrugged. Generally speaking, these treasure maps are either unique or there are many copies. There won't be only two. That's right, I think so too. At first, I was a little suspicious of this treasure map and felt that it was unusual. I didn't think much about it, but now it seems that there are many copies of this treasure map. They were scattered and placed in dangerous areas. And some were even placed in less dangerous areas. Jing Xian looked at Yi Tianyan and asked, "Where did you get your copy?" Tian Yuan paused before saying, "We found it in a special cave. It was found in a corpse that had been dead for an unknown period of time. From their point of view, that corpse should have been left behind by some powerful being. It could be said that it was quite credible. This was also the reason why they came to the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion with confidence. They wanted to obtain the treasure. Who knew that they would be told that there was more than one treasure map? Under such circumstances, everyone could easily and accurately find the direction, and did not need to wander around randomly. They felt a little disheartened. Under such circumstances, the map was still somewhat useful. The usefulness was that under the premise that other cultivators had not come in, the map could still be used to its greatest effect. Well, now that the verification is done, let's continue to explore the treasure vault. Now it's a race of speed. Before the other great clans come in, we should find as many treasures as we can. Yi Tianyun smiled faintly, took the treasure map that Chu Hutong threw over, and left with his people. He was only here to verify his thoughts. After figuring it out, he would know what was going on. Chu Hutong and the others did not stop Yi Tianyan. Silencing him or killing him was meaningless. The killing intent from before was extinguished in an instant. Continue to destroy them, speed up. Chu Hutong said in a low voice. They felt that Yi Tianyun's words were very credible. It was either one or countless. They believed that there were countless of them. After Yi Tianyun and the others left, they continued to the next treasure vault area. Along the way, Tian Yuan and the others asked, "Brother Yi, even if you ask clearly, it doesn't seem to be meaningful. We came in first anyway. Even if they don't have a map, once this place is filled with cultivators, everything will become irrelevant." So what if there were many treasure vault maps? It seemed meaningless now. It was better to find more treasures. If they fell out with Chu Hutong and the others, it would become especially troublesome. Important, very important. Yi Tianyan said in a low voice. There are some things that I did not tell them, mainly because I was afraid that they would not believe me. Why do you think there are so many maps all of a sudden? Has it ever occurred to you that this was done on purpose? Yi Tianyun's eyes were filled with a few cold glints. Done on purpose? They were stunned and suddenly said in unison. Could it be the Giant Beast clan? Yes, what I want to verify is not that the map in our hands is unique, nor is it a treasure, but whether this treasure map was deliberately scattered to attract more great clans. Yi Tianyan narrowed his eyes, his gaze filled with wisdom. This way, it will achieve the effect of capturing all of them in one fell swoop. Originally, many clans were hesitant. After all, this is a battlefield for the great clans. But if we have the map in our hands, do you think they will come in? Chapter 22-22. Brother Yi, you really think deeply, we really didn't think about this matter. Tian Yuan and the others were not so naive, but they did not leave any traces. This was also related to the treasure map. Who would spread the news after obtaining a treasure map? Therefore, everyone thought that they had their own share. And the result was very obvious. No one could guess where the real problem lay. Tianyan had not thought of this either. He had always been thinking about what schemes the giant beast race would use to capture all the great families of planet Crimson Moon. When they ran into the Chu clan several times in a row, he realized what the problem was. It was very likely that there was more than one map. The treasure was very important. The giant beast race's scheme had to be taken seriously at that time. So what if they obtained the treasure? It would just be a gift to others. It's normal not to think about it. I didn't think about it before either. I just happened to encounter it several times, so I had to think about it carefully. I didn't expect that Jing Xian had also thought of this problem. But Jing Xian probably won't be able to guess the giant beast race. Tianyan shook his head. He wanted to tell them the situation, but if they did not believe him, it would be pointless. I don't think anyone will know about this. The giant beast race has always been thought to be on the verge of extinction. Sister Jing Xian definitely won't think of it. Tian Xinghuan shook his head and sighed. Even though Jing Xian's abilities were good, there were some things that she could not deduce. Perhaps she could deduce some danger, but she definitely did not know what danger it was. And if she was alone, I would mention it to her. As for whether she believes it or not, it has nothing to do with me. Tianyan would not say it directly because Chu Hutong and the others were present. Only the heavens knew if they would bite back at him for his good intentions. This treasure map represents the giant beast race's location very clearly. It seems that it will also be very simple for them to come in. However, they probably did not expect that there would be changes outside, causing the situation to become a little special. Tianyan smiled. Not just the giant beast race, even the Tian family's complexion changed. The originally good plan suddenly changed. It felt like they had to start from scratch. In that case, we'll have to be cautious now. If the giant beasts sneak in, we might be ambushed. Tian Yuan and the others had solemn expressions on their faces. Since it was possible that the colossal beast race had spread the news, they would definitely make use of it. Okay. But before that, let's search for treasures first. Let's get as many as we can. If we get more star-level treasures, we can use them to protect ourselves. Tianyan didn't have a star venerable level treasure. If he had a star venerable level treasure, he would be even more powerful. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife was pretty good, but it had fallen to the galaxy level. It was still far from the star venerable level. After that, they arrived at the other treasure vaults and started to swiftly destroy them. At the same time, more and more cultivators began to pour in from the tunnel outside. I've finally broken through. The difficulty is really high. That's right. They are trying to put us in our place right from the start. The Violet Gold Divine Pavilion sure knows how to change. This place seems to correspond to the treasure map we found. It's true. This time, we are going to make a fortune. I hope we can find more star-level treasures. After groups of cultivators poured in, they were all overjoyed. Most importantly, they all had a treasure map. After they entered, they started to search quickly according to the mark on the map. Basically, every group of cultivators did the same. They all took out the treasure map secretly and started to search crazily according to the mark on it. As time went by, more and more cultivators came in. It wasn't like before, when only 2 families were searching here. We've finally come in. I wonder if they found any treasures. Tian Yueming and the others looked unhappy. It took them a long time to get in. Tian Yueming and the others were unhappy, but they were still looking forward to it. If Tian Yuan and the others found some star-level treasures, they would be delighted. 3-star venerable level treasures would allow the Tian family to become one of the top great families in one go. I'm afraid they didn't find anything. How can star-level treasures be found so quickly? Besides, do they have the treasure map? Without the treasure map, they will just wander around and waste their time. Tian Shengfeng was full of disdain. Even if Tianyan came in ahead of time, it wouldn't matter. In his opinion, without the treasure map, it would be meaningless. That's true. The structure on the map is so complicated. Without the map, it's not easy to find treasures. This was especially so since many of the treasure vaults had been opened. Going there would only be a waste of time and effort. There will be many traps on the way. It will be a waste of time. Tian Yueming nodded. Anyway, they have promised us that they must hand over a star venerable level treasure before we go out. That kid is really arrogant. Elder Tian Yueming, you guys have to teach him a lesson later. The elders of the Mu clan interrupted to remind them. That's for sure. Those who betray us won't have a good ending. Tian Yueming's eyes were ice cold. He led them to sneak in quickly. One after another, the big families came in, including the Zhu family. The Zhu family had come in earlier than the others. Everyone started to look for treasures as soon as they got the treasure map. Soon, the Chu family ran into a group of practitioners. When the group of cultivators saw the Chu family, they quickly turned around and left without any hesitation. The Chu family was one of the strongest forces. As long as one wasn't a fool, he wouldn't want to have a conflict with the Chu family. As there were too many cultivators, batches after batches of cultivators soon found their way to the Chu clan. They didn't have a conflict with the Chu family. But the Chu family's members didn't look happy. They all have treasure maps. Chu Hutong and the others had confirmed the situation. The area they had explored was quite deep. Even if they had come in through the first round, it would have taken them a long time to reach their area. If one or two groups had come, it wouldn't have been a big deal. There were so many families, so it was normal to run into one or two. But now they had run into a large number of practitioners. The real situation had been revealed. Yi Tianyun's words had been verified. That's right. They all have treasure maps. Jing Xian looked calm. She had expected it, so she wasn't surprised. She wasn't like Chu Hutong and the others, who didn't think it was credible. She had believed there were many treasure maps. You said you wouldn't have a conflict with them. Does that guy have some special ability, like a deduction ability? Chu Hutong asked suddenly. No, it's not about that. I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, we shouldn't have a conflict with him unless it's a critical moment, Jing Xian said with a frown. Chapter 22-23. Yi Tianyun's team was so fast that they managed to crack many star patterns in the treasury in a short time. They swept through the treasury, but did not find a single star venerable treasure. Except for the first treasury, there was not a single star venerable treasure in the rest of the treasury, which disappointed them greatly. He had thought that it would be easier to find star venerable level treasures later on, but he hadn't expected that there wouldn't be any. There were only elixirs or galaxy-level treasures. Worse still, there was an empty treasury. An empty treasury was definitely the worst outcome. Brother E, about the treasure map. In that case, we basically didn't contribute at all. Yet, you still want to split the treasures with us. It makes us feel a little embarrassed. No matter how thick-skinned Tian Yuan was, he could not keep taking treasures. This made him feel very awkward and ashamed to accept it. He had said he was willing to share the treasures because he had the treasure map. Now that the treasure map was so common and the giant beast scheme, they felt they were not qualified to get the treasures. Brother Tian, you don't have to say that. You are going to join my force, which means you are one of us. Why are you still talking about this? Yi Tianyun smiled calmly. They had both joined his force. In Yi Tianyun's eyes, this was the best treasure. Even a large family would want to rope in 2 grand star venerables. However, they would not be willing to use star venerable treasures to rope them in. Star venerable treasures were too precious. It would be a loss to exchange them for a grand star venerable. It would be more worthwhile to exchange them for several grand star venerables. However, several grand star venerables would not exchange them for just 1 star venerable treasure. There were several of them. How could they use 1 star venerable treasure? They were not interested in galaxy treasures, and they could not afford star venerable treasures. They were in an awkward position. Well, thank you, Brother E. We will be loyal to you since we joined your force. Tian Yuan and the others were touched. To be honest, Yi Tianyun was the only one who had such a thought. If it had been another family, they would have thought it through. This was because they had only joined, and no one could guarantee that they wouldn't betray them in the future. Therefore, they would be concerned, but they wouldn't trust them completely. As for giving away all the treasures, that was even more impossible. If he hadn't done anything meritorious, how could he casually give away treasures? If treasures were given out so casually, those big families would have fallen long ago. After all, a random group of star venerables could go and take the treasures before leaving. That would be a great profit. Yi Tianyun's side didn't even have any merit, and they were already casually distributing the treasures. How generous! As they continued to break down the door, they finally saw some cultivators coming over. When the first group of cultivators saw them breaking through the treasure trove, they sized them up for a moment before choosing to leave. According to the strength of the two sides, there was no doubt that the one who came in was stronger. However, when they saw that Yi Tianyun was breaking through the treasury, they didn't care about it at all. There were so many treasures in the violet gold divine pavilion. There was no need to worry about there being no more. Rather than fighting with them for this unopened treasury, it was better to go to the next one first. Since there was a first group, there would be a second group. Soon they noticed that more and more cultivators were pouring in. The advantage of being the first to enter immediately disappeared. So many cultivators are pouring in. How can they enter so easily? Tian Xinhuan said in surprise. According to what Brother Yi said, if they have the treasure map, it will be very easy for them to enter. Moreover, they will be able to accurately find the treasury that has not been opened before. Tian Yuan felt very helpless. Looks like we have to speed up. Let's try to open as many as we can. Tian Xinhuan sighed. Their last bit of hope was completely gone. It wasn't that they didn't believe Yi Tianyun's words, but they still hoped that not so many people would get the treasure map. Now it seemed that almost all of them had the treasure map, and there were quite a lot of them. Don't be so discouraged. The treasury outside is just a casual appetizer. The real theme is in the inner area. Yi Tianyun smiled. He didn't feel depressed at all. The inner area? All this while, no one has been able to enter the inner area. At most, they can only move around in this area. The key is that the passage to the inner area is not marked on the map, Tian Xinhuan said doubtfully. So, we have to find out how to enter. Just because there is no mark on the treasure map doesn't mean that we haven't found it. It could be deliberately hidden. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. Do you think the Giant Beast clan will let so many cultivators find the true location? They will definitely keep it to themselves. They won't let us touch it. According to my deduction, besides tricking more clans into coming in, this treasure map is also confusing. It will make us look for the treasury that is circled and ignore the true passage. Yi Tianyun came up with a series of deductions. This was also after a period of speculation. Now it was slightly confirmed. Come to think of it, that's really the case. They thought about it carefully. After hearing what Yi Tianyun said, they really felt that this was the case. Then, how should we find the correct passage? Tian Yuan frowned. He took out the map, trying to find some clues. They couldn't just follow him. No matter what, they had to find a position together. I have deduced a little about this, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. What? Tian Yuan and the others were stunned. They didn't expect that Yi Tianyun had already thought about this. Did you notice that the areas I've been looking for are slightly off track? Yi Tianyun explained. That's right. We sensed it before. The areas you've chosen don't have many treasury vaults. In fact, they are gradually decreasing. They belong to the more remote corners. Tian Yuan and the others echoed. Yes, if I'm not wrong, those treasure vaults that are circled are meant to lead us away from the exit, to a direction that's completely different from the real passage. On the contrary, the further away from the treasury, the more likely it is to be the real passage. Yi Tianyun's eyes were like torches that seemed to see through everything. Then why didn't Brother Yi go directly to that area? If we guessed wrong, we could have immediately changed direction. Tian Yuan didn't quite understand. Because even if we reached there, we might not be able to open it. So, why don't we take it step by step and see if there are any treasures? Besides, I'm waiting for them to come in. Yi Tianyun smiled coldly. Chapter 22-24. As time passed, they realized that Yi Tianyun had planned everything. Many things had been planned by him. He just hadn't told them in advance. It was probably a deduction, so he wasn't in a hurry to say it. Now that he had said it, they were shocked. They really hadn't thought about it in this way. Yes, wait for the giant beasts to come in. The giant beasts will definitely sneak in. As for how they will come in, I'm not sure. Tianyun smiled faintly. Perhaps they've already mastered the method to open it. We just need to pay more attention, and we'll be able to go in together. But before that, we don't know how they'll get rid of the cultivators here. They might forcibly get rid of them, or they might use other methods. Tianyun couldn't guess everything. He could only make a rough guess. Then let's continue moving in step by step. Let's see what the real situation is like. Tianyuan planned to follow Tianyun's plan and continue exploring. Tianyun nodded. It was fine as long as they followed the previous plan, unless something unexpected happened. As they gradually explored the more remote areas, there were fewer cultivators coming over. They all had maps, and there was no corresponding treasure trove marked on the maps. Naturally, they wouldn't come over. There are no signs of cultivators here. Tianyuan and the others saw that there were no cultivators here at all. Everything was empty. It wasn't like before. Even if there were no treasures, there would still be some cultivators looking for something. It was different now. There were no cultivators at all. If there were any cultivators, they would either be from the giant beasts or had wandered here without a map. It was just that the latter was generally not very likely. No matter how they wandered, it was difficult to wander to this area. After all, there were many forks in the road. It was a miracle that they could wander here in such a short amount of time. We're ready to reach the end of this area. I wonder if there's a real passageway there? Tianyuan knew the coordinates on the map. They were in a remote area at the edge. If they continued walking, they would reach the end. It was either a dead end or a passageway. Just then, a group of people rushed over from behind. When they saw Tianyun and the others, they were stunned, as if they did not expect to see them here. Tianyun looked up and focused. There were not many cultivators in front of them. There were only 4 of them, and they were all Grand Star Venerables. The highest level was late-stage Grand Star Venerate. Their overall strength was quite strong. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that they were from the Colossal Beast race. That's right, he had been wondering when the Giant Beast race would appear. Now they had finally appeared, and they had come to such a remote area. This proved that Tianyun's conjecture was correct. This was the correct path. The fact that so many giant beasts were rushing over was the best proof. Why would a cultivator appear here? The man in the lead frowned. He looked at them and said in a deep voice, "Fellow Taoists, are you lost?" "More or less. We are a little lost." Tianyun smiled calmly and lied, echoing the other party's words. "Actually, this path is not the correct path. We did not believe it at first, so we came here to take a look. However, we discovered that we went the wrong way." The man in the lead took out a map and unfolded it in front of them. He said, "This is the map we found. Generally speaking, there is no treasure house here, so we insisted on coming here to take a look. Who would have expected this to be the case? Let me give you a piece of advice. Don't continue forward. There is only a dead end ahead. There is no treasure house." The man generously pushed the map in front of Tianyun and the others, so that they could see it clearly. They probably thought that Tianyun and the others did not have a map, so they took it out and showed it to them. Tianyuan and the others had strange expressions. How could there be someone so stupid and generous as to show a map so casually? They had to admit that this map was exactly the same as the one they had obtained. There is only a dead end ahead, huh? Tianyun rubbed his chin as he pondered. That's right. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. We are planning to go back now. The man did not say much to them. He turned around and walked down another path. It was exactly the same as the map had shown them. After they left, Tianyun smiled slightly. Then let's go. With that, he led them down another path. Tian Xinhuan wanted to remind him, but Tian Yuan reached out and stopped her, gesturing for her not to say anything. After they left, the group that had just left turned around and came back. "Boss, we were almost exposed. How could there be people who did not get a map? We released so many maps, so we should have been able to get a map, Do Long muttered to the side. I'm not sure about that. Before we open the door, we still don't want this place to be exposed. The man in the lead was called Pungda. They all had their own cultivator names. In the astral beast race, they did not use such names. They quickly continued to move forward, and after they disappeared, Yi Tianyan and the others came back again. What's going on? They went back again. Isn't that contradictory? Tian Xinhuan was extremely confused. Previously, they said that there was a dead end ahead, but now they were walking forward again. What do you think of them? Yi Tianyan was in no hurry to explain. Nothing much. Their cultivation is not low. I wonder which great family clan they are from. They are really unfamiliar faces. Tian Xinhuan shook his head. They are from the astral beast race. Can you tell? Yi Tianyan said calmly. Astral beast race? Tian Yuyuan and the others were shocked. That group of people were actually from the astral beast race? I can't tell at all. Aren't they ordinary cultivators? Tian Xinhuan was shocked. If you could tell, do you think they could still sneak in? Yi Tianyan said calmly. They have undergone evolution to achieve this effect. When I heard Brother Yi say it before, I thought it was unbelievable. Now that we are walking in front of them, we can't even sense anything. Their concealment ability is too terrifying. Even if they sneak into the sect, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Tian Yuyuan's expression was solemn. This was no small matter. It was not something that could be easily resolved. Chapter 22-25. The giant beasts had entered, which meant the plan had begun. Tian Xinhuan and Tian Yuyuan both looked serious. 3 against 4 was too difficult. The other side had a late-stage star venerable. It would be very difficult to kill them. Let's go there directly, Yi Tianyan said calmly. What? Go there directly? Aren't we just following them? Tian Yuyuan and the others were dumbfounded. They had wanted to follow them secretly and see what they were going to do. But Yi Tianyan said they would follow them directly. Wasn't that a bit too rude? Yes, now that we know the real passage, there's no need to think too much about it. We just need to kill it. Yi Tianyan said calmly. He didn't look like he was joking at all. 3 against 4? They have a late-stage star venerable. Are you sure you want to do this? Tian Yuyuan and the others found it unbelievable. It had always been difficult to fight someone at a higher level. That's right. Don't we have star-level treasures? It won't be a problem for us to shake them up with star-level treasures. Yi Tianyan looked at him with a smile and said, This is a star venerable level treasure. Can I borrow it for a while? It would be a little difficult to kill 4 grand star venerates, but it was not a problem for him. Especially with the help of a star venerable treasure, it would be even easier to deal with them. No problem. Tian Yuyuan quickly took out the star venerable treasure and handed it to Yi Tianyan without hesitation. Yi Tianyan took it and said with a smile, Let's go. Let's go kill the giant beasts. Okay. Since Brother Yi is so bold, I will risk my life to accompany you. Tian Yuyuan also smiled. He did not care about the gap between them. He's crazy. He's crazy. Tian Xinhuan looked worried. They had never seen Yi Tianyan's power. Even if his cultivation had increased, he was still a late-stage star venerable. It would be difficult to fight against him. A mid-stage star venerable with a star venerable treasure could fight someone at a higher level, but it depended on how well they could control it. They had just obtained the treasure, so they weren't very familiar with it. Normally, they wouldn't be able to unleash its full power. Thus, it was hard to say if they could fight someone stronger than them. Now that they were so daring to kill their way over, even Tian Xinhuan thought that they were crazy. Most importantly, she also thought that she was crazy. Not only did she not stop them, but she also followed them. When Yi Tianyan took the star venerable level treasure, he felt his hand sink. It was quite heavy. This star venerable level treasure was quite special. It was a small dagger. It wasn't a rare weapon, but it was undeniable that it wasn't as comfortable as a long sword or a spear. However, it was still a star venerable level treasure. Although it was a low-level treasure and not a superstar venerable level treasure, It was still a star venerable level treasure. The feeling of holding it was different. A very good weapon. Tianyan was very satisfied with this weapon. Not bad indeed. I'm not good at using daggers. I wonder if Brother E is good at using daggers? Tian Yuan didn't care what kind of treasure it was, as long as it was a star venerable level treasure. It's okay. I can basically use it. Tianyan smiled. What do you mean you can basically use it? Young Master E, you should be careful. Those are 4 grand star venerables. Why don't you familiarize yourself with them? If you are not familiar with them, it will be too late to familiarize yourself with them after the fight. Tianxing Huan tried to persuade him. She didn't ask them not to fight, but at least they should familiarize themselves with the weapon. As for calling for help, they didn't have any help. If they asked others to come over, they probably wouldn't want to come over. They all preferred to act according to the treasure map instead of coming to this remote area. No need. I'm a little confident in using a dagger. Tianyan smiled. There was no weapon he didn't know. After getting the memories of so many practitioners, he had mastered many martial arts techniques and abilities, especially in the use of weapons. Although he wasn't the best, he was at least proficient in most of them. Tianxing Huan didn't say anything after hearing Tianyan's words, but she was a little worried. Sister, don't worry. Even if we can't beat them, we can still run away. I don't believe that they'll catch up to us here. When the time comes, we'll let the other cultivators see the true face of the giant beast clan. Tian Yuan laughed heartily. The only reason he was so straightforward was because he wanted to escape. Of course, he wasn't afraid of a fight since he had nothing to fear. No, we will make them all stay. We will open the door and sneak in alone. We will take all the treasures. Tianyan grinned. What do you think? Make them all stay. Tian Yuan almost bit his tongue off. He was really scared. Take all the treasures? That's a good idea, but they have many grand star venerables. When the time comes, just listen to my instructions. Tianyan said with a smile. Tian Yuan stared at Tianyan for a while. Then he nodded and said, Then we will follow Brother Yi's instructions and go a little crazy. Tianxing Huan slapped his face. He couldn't bear to watch this. They were all crazy. The 3 of them wanted to make the 4 of them stay. Just the thought of it was crazy. The treasures were good, but they had to act according to their strength. Otherwise, how would they use them when they were dead? After saying that, Tianyan led them forward. They really swaggered in. Tianxing Huan wondered if he was visiting his own mansion. Otherwise, how could he be so arrogant? After walking for a short while, the passageway in front of them gradually widened. In the end, a huge golden door came into view. The door was densely covered with golden patterns. It was obvious that it was a more advanced star pattern. It would not be so easy to break it. The giant beasts were right in front of them. They were fiddling with the door, trying to figure out how to break it. It seemed like they were at their wits' end. If they could open it, they would have done so long ago. They wouldn't have left it until now. When they appeared, people immediately looked in their direction. Their expressions sank when they saw familiar faces. Didn't they leave? Why are they back? Do Long's expression turned cold. This wasn't a good thing. Peng Da's expression did not look good either. The 3 of them had undoubtedly disrupted their plans. Sorry, we seem to have taken the wrong way. I have no sense of direction. I took the wrong way again. Where is this place? It seems quite special. Tianyan walked over with a smile. He looked like he was really lost. Tianxing Huan, who was at the side, almost laughed out loud. No sense of direction? Who would believe that? No matter how bad one was, he would still be a grand star venerable. Chapter 22-26. Peng Da and the others immediately moved, surrounding Tianyan at a shocking speed. Their priority was to seal off the escape route. The expressions of Heavenly Star Ring and the others changed. They could not help but want to retreat to the fork outside. If they fought there, they would have a chance to escape. If they were blocked here, it would be difficult for them to escape. No need to hide. Let them surround us. Tianyan remained calm and told Tian Yuan to ignore them. Tian Yuan, and the others calmed down a little and obeyed Yi Tianyun's words. They really did not leave. Heavenly Star Ring wanted to pull Tianyuan away, but she resisted the urge. After all, Tianyuan had not left. She could only risk her life to accompany him. She was still very nervous. If something really happened, she would let her brother go first even if she had to sacrifice her life. Pengde quickly surrounded them and stood behind them, sealing off the exit. The only exit was blocked just like that. If they wanted to escape, they had to defeat him. Pengde was a late-stage star venerate. Even if he could not kill them, he could at least hold them back for a while. Oh, you're quite bold. Who gave you the confidence? Pengda's gaze was cold and full of mockery. Did you stop moving when you saw the treasury? If you want to get the treasure, you have to be able to. We took the wrong path. Is there a problem with that? Yi Tianyun said with a faint smile. Friend, since this path is blocked, can you let us go first? Do you think I can let you go? You saw the treasury. Do you think I'll let you go? Pengde said coldly. I told you to leave, but you did not. Now that you're here, just stay here obediently. Pengde did not say much. He pounced forward and unleashed his power. There was no star materialization, only the power of the colossal beast race. The figure of a colossal beast appeared behind him. Thick scales appeared on Pengda's body. These scales were extremely sharp, as if he was wearing a thick blade. Both his speed and power were unleashed. Boom! The ground shook from Pengda's stomp, and with the most violent manner, it bombarded this side. It really is the giant beast clan. When Tianyuan and the others sensed this aura, they immediately knew that it was the giant beast clan. This aura was too familiar. It was completely the giant beast clan. Giant beast clan, you're actually from the giant beast clan. Yi Tianyun took a few steps back, his face full of shock, as if he was frightened. This level of acting made Tian Xinghuan speechless. How did Yi Tianyun learn so many tricks after not seeing him for a while? It should be said that they had only known each other for a short period of time. When they didn't know Yi Tianyun that well, they had already separated. It's too late for you to know. This is destined to be our battlefield. Not only did Pengde erupt with power, but the three great star venerates behind him also erupted with power. The power of the colossal beast tribe burst forth with all its might, bursting forth with the power of its true body. Their power stacked up in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, Pengde charged over, brandishing an extremely powerful attack in the direction of Yi Tianyun. In his opinion, the cultivator in front of him was already so scared that he couldn't fight back. However, when Pengde was about to reach him, the corners of Yi Tianyun's mouth curled up into a smile. His eyes flickered with a special light as he locked onto his opponent's weakness with the super appraisal eye. In the next moment, Yi Tianyun erupted with his strongest power. The power of the seven-colored king dragon gushed out of his back, and his crazy mode stacked up. He shouted, "Help me!" In the next second, Tianyuan and the others also erupted with their strongest power. More than 30 cubic meters of astral power appeared above them, covering an area. Yi Tianyun had already told them that when the fight started, he would release astral power when they helped him. They didn't know what that meant, but they did as they were told. After the astral power erupted, Yi Tianyun used swallowing the starry sky without hesitation. He swallowed the astral power of two people in a row, and his fighting power soared to 56 cubic meters. Unfortunately, there were too few of them. Otherwise, he could have continued to reach 60 cubic meters. After the eruption, Pengda's eyes widened. He hadn't expected his opponent to have such a dreadful power. When he saw the shadow of the seven-colored king dragon behind Yi Tianyun, his eyes widened even more. This is the five-colored king dragon. Why is it here? He hadn't sensed that Yi Tianyun's energy was the five-colored king dragon. He didn't know that after Yi Tianyun's cultivation had improved and his level had increased, he had become very good at hiding his energy. Chaotic stars cut. Yi Tianyun didn't pay attention to his opponent's expression. He dashed over in one breath. When he was close to Pengde, the star venerable level dagger appeared in his hand. He stabbed at Pengda's weakest point at the highest speed. Since his opponent was a bit careless, he didn't react in time. Who would have thought that Yi Tianyan would have such dreadful power in one breath? He was caught unprepared. The most important thing was that the star venerable level weapon gave him a good scare. Puff! The sharp dagger penetrated Peng Da's scales easily and went through his body. Then a sharp white light pierced through Peng Da's body and dashed toward the wall behind him. Yi Tianyan didn't stop. He quickly pulled Peng Da aside, trying to cut him in half. Peng Da dodged very fast. He managed to dodge the fatal attack. The cut came from his shoulder and cut off half of Peng Da's body. Peng Da quickly dodged to the side after dodging. His strong recovery ability was demonstrated. The half of his body started to grow back quickly. In the blink of an eye, half of his body had recovered. It seemed that it wouldn't take long for him to recover completely. He dodged, but Yi Tianyan wasn't slow either. After the first attack failed, he chased after him again. Trying to escape? Yi Tianyan's eyes were cold. He thrust his knife at Peng Da again. The short dagger gave off an extremely sharp light. No matter how short the dagger was, it turned into a long knife that could cut off a river. Peng Da was scared out of his wits when he saw Yi Tianyan attacking fiercely again. He was seriously injured. It was hard for him to fight back, let alone fight back. Especially the star venerable level weapon in Yi Tianyan's hand. Peng Da's strong body was like tofu to him. It was cut off by one cut. Peng Da turned around and ran to his companions. He didn't dare fight against Yi Tianyan anymore. However, he didn't run far. The knife came down again. It was accompanied by Yi Tianyan's cold light. Die. Peng Da didn't dodge this attack. It cut Peng Da in half. Even his soul was cut in half. A strong late-stage Grand Star Venerable was killed just like that. It was as easy as cutting vegetables. Chapter 22-27. Bing. Successfully killed Peng Da obtained 2 billion star energy points and 1,500 kill points. Obtained Golden Scaled Beast's Bloodline, Golden Scaled Beast Scale, Giant Beast Clan's Key Rare. Yi Tianyan did not leave Peng Da's soul behind. He killed him directly. In his opinion, capturing the others to search their souls would be the same. They had all come here together, so they should know about the same things, so there was no need to leave Peng Da behind. Most importantly, Peng Da was stronger. He was a giant beast in the late star venerable stage. He surpassed Peng Da in every aspect. To avoid a comeback, Yi Tianyan killed him directly, leaving no future trouble. God knew what kind of moves Peng Da would use later. Anyway, he killed him before he could react. After killing him, the group was dumbfounded, especially the companions who had just surrounded them. They had just wanted to come to the rescue, but it was too late. Yi Tianyan had easily killed Peng Da with his blade. That short dagger could easily kill a giant beast in the late star venerable stage. A giant beast in the late star venerable stage was a nature-defying existence. It was definitely much stronger than a cultivator in the late star venerable stage of the same level. But Yi Tianyan had killed it easily, as if he was cutting melons and vegetables. Under such a state, they were truly horrified. Their boss had already been killed. As for them, wouldn't they be able to deal with them easily? Star venerable level treasure. Do Long almost swallowed his tongue. He was scared silly by the weapon in Yi Tianyan's hand. Who would have thought that Yi Tianyan would have a star venerable level treasure? They were not very familiar with weapons. They had only started to get used to them recently. In their previous state, they could not use any weapons. They could only use their bodies. Now that they were cultivators, they could use weapons and martial arts techniques. But no matter how much they could use martial arts techniques and weapons, they were not familiar with them. Seeing Yi Tianyan use a star venerable level weapon, they were really scared. They knew what it was. Yi Tianyan held the star venerable level treasure in his hand, and walked forward step by step. He looked at them and said with a faint smile, "What did you say this place was? The Hell's Gate? I wonder if this is the gate of hell that we're heading to. Or your gate of hell." Do Long and the others swallowed their saliva. This time, it was really over. Now it was Yi Tianyan blocking the exit. If they wanted to escape, they had to defeat Yi Tianyan. In an instant, the situation was reversed. They were all confused by the situation. Who would have thought that things would turn out like this? Kill our way out. Do Long and the others gritted their teeth and rushed over. Since they were trapped, even if they died, they had to fight with the other party. Do Long and the others rushed over. Tianyin wore a calm expression. Holding a star venerable dagger in his hand, he guarded this place tightly like a door god. Kill our way out. Can you kill your way out? Tianyin smiled calmly. He took a step forward and slashed down quickly. A sharp light gushed out of the dagger. As he slashed down quickly, he killed a giant beast effortlessly. His opponent's cultivation was even lower than his. Facing a star venerable level treasure, he was even more vulnerable. Do Long and the others felt a chill in their hearts. They did not pay attention to their companions. The remaining two people split up and ran to the sides, trying to distract Tianyin so that they could escape from the sides. However, before they could come over, Tian Yuan and Tian Xinghuan blocked one side each. They blocked the way completely. Have you forgotten us? Tian Yuan and the others sneered. They might not be as strong as Tianyin, but it was not a problem for them to stop them. Kill! Do Long and the others shouted angrily. The giant beast's power doubled again, but it was meaningless. Soon Tianyin rushed over. With the help of Tian Yuan and the others, he killed the two giant beasts easily. Among them, Do Long's soul was slashed to the point where it was held in his hand. If you want to kill us, just kill us. The giant beasts will never surrender. Do Long did not choose to surrender even at the moment of death. Don't worry. I didn't ask you to surrender. Even if you surrender, I won't want it. Tianyin sneered and used the super soul searching technique to search Do Long's soul crazily. After a while, Tianyin let go of Do Long's soul slowly. He had searched all of Do Long's memories. Without waiting for the other party to scream, he directly crushed this ball of soul. As countless light spots dissipated, Tianyin's cold and serious expression appeared in front of Tian Yuan and the others. Brother what's wrong? Tian Yuan and the others could feel that something was wrong. Tianyin's expression changed, as if he had run into something serious. Under normal circumstances, he should be happy after killing so many giant beasts. Moreover, it was killing those above his level. Not only was Tianyin not happy, but he also had a serious expression, indicating that something must have happened. The situation is a little complicated. I roughly know their plan. Tianyin said solemnly. Oh, Brother what did you deduce this time? Tian Yuan and the others looked over seriously. Tianyin had guessed correctly all this time. This was definitely not wrong. Little did they know that Tianyin had obtained the memories. How could this be a deduction? This was the real plan. A large number of giant beasts have already infiltrated. This is the first batch. There will be other giant beasts mixed in later. They are still outside breaking the door. Soon, they will all come in. The main plan is to open this door and then destroy the purple gold divine pavilion. All the cultivators who enter will be buried alive. Tianyin said solemnly. Destroy the purple gold divine pavilion and bury them alive. They gasped. There were so many cultivators here. If they were all buried alive, there would be no strong cultivators on planet Red Moon. It could be said that planet Red Moon had returned to primitive times overnight. How can we destroy the purple gold divine pavilion? Even a divine star venerable wouldn't be able to destroy such a sturdy purple gold divine pavilion, let alone a great star venerable. They found it unbelievable. How could such a sturdy place be destroyed? So, their priority is to open this door and find the control of the purple gold divine pavilion. Then they can mobilize the power of the purple gold divine pavilion to besiege and kill them. If they don't have this ability, they will destroy it. Tianyin shook his head and said, that's the basic situation. They also have helpers mixed in. Helpers? What helpers? They couldn't imagine. Chapter 22-28. Tianyin had been guessing before. He felt that the giant beast race's shocking evolution reminded him of the evil spirit race and the green demon race. These two races evolved by devouring bloodlines. The giant beast race was very powerful, but they were very lacking in the ability to evolve. Or rather, they didn't know how to evolve properly. Now that the evil spirit race and the green demon race had joined, the meaning was completely different. This time, they would be able to evolve successfully and further strengthen themselves. This kind of thing did not surprise him. He had already guessed it before, so he was not very shocked. If there was one thing that shocked him, it would be that the headquarters of the colossal beast race had yet to be found in their souls. He was very surprised by such a strict situation. He also didn't know where the headquarters of the giant beast race was. The evil spirit race and the green demon race. Their expressions changed slightly. They did not have much contact with the evil spirit race, but they knew how disgusting this race was. The one that left the deepest impression on them was the green demon race. It could be said that Tian Yuan had always been fighting against the green demon clan. In the end, he had barely managed to destroy the green demon clan. However, the real situation was that it was only a branch of the green devil race. The real headquarters of the green devil race wasn't here. From the memories of Do Long and the others, there was no relevant memory. There was only one impression, and that was that the green demon race had sent people to meet with them. The evil spirit race and the green demon race both gave the giant beast race an extreme evolution ability, so that the giant beast race could evolve towards the side of cultivators. The effect was very obvious, and the giant beast race was very satisfied. Back then, the giant beast race had been defeated largely because they didn't know martial arts, nor did they know how to use weapons. Only in the battle between cultivators would they be defeated and forced to retreat. After all, an additional weapon and martial arts would have a completely different meaning. It wouldn't even be a problem for him to fight someone of a higher cultivation level. Thus, when the evil spirit race and the green demon race gave the plan, they basically hit it off, and the two immediately began to cooperate. They were not very clear about the more detailed situation. It could only be said that their status was not high enough. That's right, it's the evil spirit race and the green demon race that made them undergo this evolution. They were now in an alliance, and they were very powerful. No one knows where his real residence is. Tianyan said in a low voice. Most importantly, the giant beast race doesn't know much about internal information. Brother E, how do you know so much? Tian Yuan and company were extremely curious. This wasn't even a deduction, right? You all saw how I searched his soul just now. That's how I got so much information. I can't just rely on deduction, right? Tianyan said calmly. Soul search. They were shocked. Soul search could search so many memories. How was this possible? They didn't ask in detail, as this was a private matter. The world was vast and anything could happen. It wasn't surprising that Tianyun had a special soul-searching ability. Does that mean that those who really know the inside information are either of a higher status or have a stronger cultivation? They're so powerful, yet they don't know. Doesn't that mean that only Divine Star Venerables and above would know? Skytor Yuan's expression also turned serious. In other words, they have Divine Star Venerable powerhouses. That's right, Brother Tian's guess is correct. I think so too. Based on this situation, they definitely have someone with a higher status. Usually, cultivation is equivalent to status. Especially the control of the giant beast race's status, which is determined by cultivation. Tianyan said in a deep voice, Divine Star Venerables. Even Crimson Moon Planet doesn't know where Divine Star Venerables are hiding. Divine Star Venerables. They couldn't help but gasp when they thought about it. If they make a move, won't we be finished? Once Divine Star Venerables appeared, Great Star Venerables were basically ants. This had always been the conclusion, and it couldn't be changed. If they could make a move, they would have made a move long ago. Why would they stay until now? Tianyun's eyes were like torches, as if everything was within his calculations. They must be restricted by something, which is why they don't dare to make a move. Or maybe they're restricted by something, which is why they can't move freely. The five-colored Emperor Dragon could suppress them back then. Didn't they have other backup plans? Tianyun felt that this should be the case. Otherwise, as Divine Star Venerables, they would have made a move long ago. It would be easy for them to crush Great Star Venerables. Why would they keep hiding? That's true. If there really weren't any restrictions, they might have made a move long ago. Tian Yuan and the others nodded in agreement. I just didn't expect the green demon race to be endless. The nest I destroyed was only a branch. Tian Yuan found it hard to accept. This was a bit of a blow. He thought they had really destroyed the green demon race, but that wasn't the case. Well, this isn't unexpected. Even the evil spirit race is hard to destroy, let alone the green demon race. Yi Tianyun shook his head. He had been fighting against the evil spirit race in the lower realm. He didn't expect to come here and run into them. How could he not feel disgusted? Now that the three most terrifying families had joined hands, one could imagine what kind of disgusting things would happen. It would really bring disaster to the entire world. Now we should hurry up and enter. We should seize control of the purple gold divine pavilion before they do. Yi Tianyun stared at the golden door in front of them with a burning gaze. As long as they opened the golden door, they would be able to enter the inner area. They soon arrived in front of the golden door. It was tightly sealed, and the densely packed golden patterns on it were enough to make many cultivators retreat. How could they break through such complicated golden patterns? Even Yi Tianyun couldn't find any flaws after carefully examining it, let alone other cultivators. It was obvious that only a higher-level star tattoo master could break through it. Brother Yi, can you see anything? Tian Yuan smiled bitterly. There was no doubt that he didn't know where to start. It's difficult. This star tattoo is too difficult. I'm afraid that only a level 6 or 7 star tattoo master or above would be able to find a way to break through it. Yi Tianyun also shook his head. He felt that it was difficult to break through it. In his current situation, he wouldn't be able to become a level 6 or 7 star tattoo master, even if he threw all his star energy into it. The star energy required was too high, and he couldn't satisfy it at all. A level 6 or 7 star tattoo master. There aren't any level 6 or 7 star tattoo masters in the entire Crimson Moon planet, right? Even a level 5 star tattoo master would be hard to come by. Tian Yuan smiled bitterly. So you're saying that we can't go in and can only wait outside like idiots? I wonder how the giant beast race plans to break through it. Chapter 22-29. They didn't think that it would be possible for those giant beasts to break the complicated star patterns in front of them. Before they came, they had been fiddling with it, but they didn't see anything. They didn't even leave a trace. As for whether the giant beasts had a level 6 star tattoo master, they definitely didn't have one. The giant beast race was completely inept in this aspect. It was only recently that they were able to evolve into this appearance. Therefore, it was only recently that he became a cultivator. This meant that he could cultivate martial arts, star runes, and the like. It was impossible for them to become a level 6 star tattoo master in such a short time. Yi Tianyun didn't find anything useful in his memories. Pengde and the others had set up camp here to prevent other cultivators from breaking in. He guessed they were waiting for the evil spirit race or the green demon race to come and break it. After all, they really couldn't break it with their abilities. It was extremely difficult to break through the star patterns or through brute force. Especially breaking it with brute force, that was basically impossible. The materials here were absolutely amazing. Even star venerable level treasures would be destroyed if they collided with them. At least, Yi Tianyun felt that if he broke it, he would only injure himself. He wouldn't destroy the gate. If it could be destroyed, someone would have done it long ago, instead of leaving it until now. It seems that I don't know how to open the gate. Yi Tianyun looked it up and down, trying to see if there was a keyhole. After looking for a long time, there was no keyhole. It meant that the purple gold divine pavilion key in his hand was useless. This was obviously awkward. Didn't it mean that the key was useless? He could only use the key in the future. When they were feeling around the gate, they suddenly felt a few auras behind them. They quickly turned around. They saw a few familiar figures. It was the Chu family. They didn't expect the Chu family to come here, instead of following the map. I didn't expect you to also notice the situation here. Yi Tianyun squinted and looked over. He didn't expect Jing Xian to come here. He felt that it was very likely that Jing Xian could also deduce some things and find the real location. That would depend on how long it took for him to make a judgment. Now it seemed that the time spent was very short. It seemed that Jing Xian's ability was really not bad. When Chu Hutong and the others saw the situation, their eyes widened. They didn't expect to find the entrance here. Just by looking at this door, one could tell that it was not an ordinary door. If it could be opened, there must be a lot of treasures inside. That's right. My judgment was a little late, and I was a lot slower than you. However, it seems that we're not too late. Jing Xian's beautiful eyes flashed as if she had met a worthy opponent for the first time. Yi Tianyan was ahead of her step by step, which made her feel very strong. She did not have that sense of control. Yi Tianyan shrugged and said frankly, "Indeed, we didn't come too late. There's no point for us to come early. The door basically can't be opened unless your star rune ability is at least level 6 or 7. Otherwise, it's impossible to open." Since he couldn't get in anyway, there was no harm in saying it out loud. Tian Yuan and the others were calmer this time. They didn't feel too afraid facing the Chu family's 7 great star venerates. After seeing the power Yi Tianyan had displayed, they finally understood why they weren't afraid of the Chu family. If they really fought, they might not be able to crush them, but it wouldn't be a problem to make them suffer great losses. Especially that devouring the starry sky, which really scared them. Jing Xian didn't reply. She walked over and observed the door carefully. Chu Hutong and the others looked over, but they didn't argue with them. There were no treasures to fight for at the moment, and it was difficult to open the door. There was no need to fight to the death. After observing it carefully for a while, Jing Xian nodded and said, "That's right. It's indeed impossible to open it. You need at least a level 6 or 7 star rune master to open it. It's quite difficult. It's basically impossible to open it. Does that mean we can only look at it and not go in?" Chu Hutong asked doubtfully. "That seems to be the case." Jing Xian touched the star patterns on the door and said calmly, "It's a bit complicated, but we must fulfill some conditions to open the door. As for what the conditions are, it's really hard to tell." Jing Xian turned her head to look at Yi Tianyan and said with a faint smile, "Let me reintroduce myself. I am Jing Xian. May I know how to address you, young master?" "Tianyan." Yi Tianyan said his real name directly, but he only said the last 2 words. He still admired Jing Xian, and thought it would be good to get to know her. "So it's young Master Tianyan. You're quite good at this. You figured out the real goal so quickly. What do you think about this door? Can we discuss it?" Jing Xian said with a faint smile. "What's in it for us to discuss it?" Yi Tianyan asked with a smile. "There's basically no benefit, but I can guarantee that our Chu clan won't do anything to you. Is this enough sincerity?" Jing Xian was like the clan leader, directly deciding things for Chu Hutong and the others. Yi Tianyan's eyes flickered. From Jing Xian's words, he could tell that she had a lot of power to decide. Chu Hutong didn't have any opinions at all. Everything was decided by her. This made him very curious about Jing Xian's true identity. Could it be that he was the next patriarch? "This is indeed a great sincerity," Yi Tianyan said with a faint smile. "Since that's the case, I'll be generous and tell you what I can find out." Yi Tianyan reached out to touch the golden door and said calmly, "I feel that this golden door lacks blood. When I touched it, I felt a blood-sucking feeling, as if it wanted to suck the blood out of my body. It needs to absorb blood to open the door." "Oh, there's such a feeling? Why don't we feel it?" Chu Hutong and the others reached out to touch it, but they didn't feel anything special. "I don't feel it either." Tian Yuan shook his head. "I feel it too," Tian Xinhuan said in surprise. "I wanted to say this before, but I thought you all felt it too." "I feel it too." Jing Xian's eyes flashed. "As expected of young Master Tianyan. You're very thorough." Chapter 2230. Yi Tianyan did not believe that Jing Xian could not guess it. He felt that Jing Xian could definitely guess it, and was just asking him. As for why the Chu family did not fight with them, Jing Xian had said from the start that they would not be enemies, so there was no point in saying that. To put it bluntly, Jing Xian just wanted to continue probing him to see how much he knew so that she could evaluate him. It was impossible for Jing Xian to have a good impression of him. Jing Xian's expression was completely like a nun's. It was impossible for her to have a good impression of him. It was purely a test. I only sensed it a little. It seems that young Master Tian Yin guessed more and knows more. Jing Xian did not deny her thoughts. She looked at him and smiled. Then I wonder if young Master Tian Yin has any thoughts about this blood? What thoughts can I have? Isn't it very direct? Just spray the blood on it. As for how much is needed, that will depend on the requirements of this door. Tianyin shrugged and said indifferently, currently, it seems like this is the method. As for the other methods, I am not too clear. Since the door needed their blood, they could only spray it with their blood. As for what would happen later, he did not know. He could only sense one thing, and that was that this door needed a specific type of blood. While they were talking, a group of figures suddenly appeared behind them, causing them to turn their heads to look. What appeared in front of them was actually the Zhu family. When the Zhu family appeared, they naturally saw the arrogant Zhu Xing, so this is the real passage. I almost missed it. Zhu Xing cursed as he followed them over. When he saw them standing there, his eyes lit up. Little sister Jing Xian, it seems that you also found the real entrance. I was just about to go find you and tell you about the real entrance. Zhu Xing smiled as he walked over. It looked like he was the one who found it. The real situation was naturally not found by him, but by the other elders. Since they could become a great family of Scarlet Moon Planet, they definitely had considerable strength. It was not surprising that they were able to find the problem. No need. It is not difficult to find the real entrance. Jing Xian's expression was indifferent. She really did not have a good impression of him. I don't think so either. It's just that it took some time to find some treasures. Zhu Xing was very thick-skinned as he smiled and said, I definitely believe in little sister Jingxin's ability. From the looks of it, you should be the first to find this place, right? Zhu Xing glanced at Tianyin and didn't pay much attention to him. In his opinion, Jing Xian should be the first to find it. However, as for Tianyin and the others, they were not too happy. They were the first batch to enter, and now they were still here. Their speed was really fast. However, from his point of view, this was meaningless. They were a little slow, but it didn't seem like there was any benefit to entering earlier. No, it was young Master Tianyin who found it first. I only arrived later. Jing Xian answered truthfully. Although she didn't really like Zhu Xing, she would still answer what she needed to answer. They found it first again? Zhu Xing narrowed his eyes and looked at Tianyin and the others again. Which family are you from? Why haven't I seen you before? Us. I don't belong to any family, Tianyin said lightly. Don't belong to any family? They were all shocked. 3 Great Star Venerables did not belong to any family. How did they come out? They all had suspicious looks on their faces. They didn't think it was possible. It was very likely that they were hiding their families. Impossible. You are all from the Tian family. Chu Hutong stepped forward and pointed it out. You seem to have been working with the Tian family. As for the other 2, the Heavenly Star Ring's Great Star Venerables are from the Tian family, right? It wasn't just Chu Hutong. Some of the other elders also recognized Tian Yuan, and the others. There were only a few Great Star Venerables, so they could more or less recognize them. Zhu Xing and the others didn't know much. Zhu Xing's eyes were filled with disdain when he glanced at them. So you are from the Tian family. I didn't expect such geniuses to appear in the Tian family. However, it doesn't matter if you came in earlier. You can't open this door anyway. You are waiting here for nothing. Zhu Xing knew about the Tian family's situation. The Tian family's overall situation was average. It was much worse than the Zhu family. They still didn't forget to mock them. So what if they came in earlier? They still had to wait here obediently. Tianyin couldn't be bothered to argue with them. The Heavenly Star Ring wanted to retort, but Tian Yuan stopped her. He told her not to act rashly. Zhu Xing was a hedonistic son of a rich family. Quarreling with him would only make things worse. Especially since Zhu Xing was backed by the Zhu family. She could only swallow her anger and bear with it for a while. Can't say anything? Zhu Xing mocked. Then let me see how you open this door. Zhu Xing pretended to approach the door and extended his hand to touch it. However, he couldn't figure out how to open it. He had relied on his talent to reach his current cultivation. He didn't have any other abilities. Can you tell? Tianyan asked calmly. I can tell. This golden door doesn't have a switch. You can only enter by breaking the star runes. It's the same as those treasure houses outside. Zhu Xing was very thick-skinned and said a bunch of nonsense. What's the difference between that and not saying anything? Tianyan said calmly. Oh, it seems like you have a good idea. Then tell me, other than my method, what other method can you use to break it? Zhu Xing immediately felt unhappy. How dare he talk about him? Young Master Tianyan, I've already analyzed it. As long as we use blood, we can break it. Moreover, this blood can only be used by a specific cultivator. Jing Xian helped to answer. The Chu family and the others all smiled faintly. He didn't have any ability, yet he still came to show off in front of them. It was really embarrassing. Huh. Zhu Xing was startled. Immediately, a ball of fire appeared in his heart. He didn't expect to be mocked. This made him angry. I can tell too. When I touched it just now, I felt that this door wanted to suck my blood. I just didn't say it out loud. The thick-skinned Zhu Xing immediately retorted. He was a typical person who wanted to save face. Tianyan shook his head. For a family to have such a genius, yet they didn't properly discipline him. It was really a tragedy. A genius was a genius, but he was lacking in some aspects. With this kind of character, if he didn't have the Zhu family as his backing, he would have died countless times. Chapter 22:31. Is that so? How will young Master Zhu Xing deal with it after he learns about it? Jing Xian looked at him with a faint smile. She was obviously trying to provoke Zhu Xing this. The way to deal with it is to pour some blood on it. It's that simple. Zhu Xing suggested a simple and crude way, which was similar to what they had thought. This was the only way for the moment. Young Master Zhu Xing, won't you give it a try? Jing Xian said with a faint smile. Although they all knew they had to do it, they did not know what would happen if they poured their blood on it. The purple gold divine pavilion was mysterious. They could not mess around. If something went wrong, it would be difficult to turn the situation around. I'll give it a try. Just give it a try. Zhu Xing was a little hesitant at first. However, since he had already said it, he did not know whether to do it or not. However, for the sake of his reputation, he had to give it a try. The people of the Zhu family wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Zhu Xing waved his hand and forced the essence blood out of his body. He poured it on the gate. When a few drops of essence blood fell on the gate, the whole golden gate shone with a dazzling golden light. The golden patterns on the gate turned red. Then, a line of words appeared. Medium stage star venerable realm. 87,000 years old, average talent. Below 200,000 years old, great star venerable realm can enter. After the line of words flashed, the gate opened slightly. A door of light appeared for Zhu Xing to enter. Everyone's eyes lit up. They had not expected the gate to be opened in this way. It required a drop of essence blood, so that the gate could recognize the person who entered, and then decide whether they could enter or not. The most important thing was the last line. It made many great star venerables change their expressions. Below 200,000 years old, many great star venerables present were much more than 200,000 years old. Some of them were even more than 500,000 years old. There were very few great star venerables who were below 200,000 years old. Wasn't this requirement a little too high? According to this, most of them could not enter. Only a few of them could enter. If most of them could not enter, it would be the same as standing outside. Since they could not enter, they could only stand outside in a daze. Looks like I reached the standard. What does it mean that my talent is average? My talent is only average. This is impossible. Zhu Xing was very unhappy with this evaluation. His innate talent was top-notch in the entire Scarlet Moon planet, but here it was considered average. This made him very unhappy. He felt that his evaluation was not accurate. Tianyan's eyes flickered. He didn't point it out, but he felt that it must be accurate. This standard was naturally the standard of the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion. It was used to measure the geniuses of the past generations, not the Crimson Moon planet. It was like the strongest genius of Desolate Dragon Star was much weaker than Scarlet Moon Star. Although Zhu Xing was a little unhappy, he still had some pride since he met the requirements. There weren't many who could reach this level. Especially to be able to cultivate to this level in 80,000 years, it was truly a feat to look down on all heroes. Forget it, I'll go in first. Zhu Xing looked at Jing Xian and said with a smile. Sister Jing Xian, I'll go in first and wait for you. I reckon that in the entire Scarlet Moon Star, only a few can enter. This is our world. After saying that, Zhu Xing walked into the door of light. When he was about to leave, he suddenly stopped and said, Forget it, I'm not in a hurry to go in. Sister Jing Xian, hurry up and give it a try. Let's see how good it is. Zhu Xing gestured for Jing Xian to give it a try. He was not in a hurry. He could go in anyway. Jing Xian nodded and dropped a drop of essence blood on the door. After the drop of essence blood merged with the door, a line of words appeared on it. Early stage Grand Star Venerable 51,000 years old, talent is average. Below 200,000 years old, and a Grand Star Venerable, you can enter. Jing Xian's eyes narrowed. She reached the early stage Grand Star Venerable at 51,000 years old. And her talent was average? Wasn't this too high a requirement? When everyone saw this number, they were really shocked. She could reach the early stage Grand Star Venerable at 51,000 years old. How did she cultivate? Although her cultivation was not as good as Zhu Xing's, there was a difference of 30,000 years in age. If she was given another 30,000 years to cultivate, she would definitely surpass Zhu Xing and reach the late-stage Grand Star Venerable. Sister Jing Xian, you are amazing. You are my woman indeed. Zhu Xing was very thick-skinned. He would not be jealous of Jing Xian. In his eyes, Jing Xian was his woman. There was nothing to be jealous of. Jing Xian's gaze was cold. She did not care about Zhu Xing. She had refuted him many times, but it did not work. Zhu Xing's skin was just that thick. Unless his mouth was sealed, he would continue to speak nonsense. Okay, then let's go in together. There is no point in staying here. The others probably can't enter. Zhu Xing smiled and gestured for Jing Xian to go in with him. At that moment, Jing Xian suddenly turned her head to look at Yi Tianyin. She said with a faint smile, Young Master Tianyin, don't you want to try? Seeing Jing Xian smiling at Yi Tianyin's heart immediately surged with anger. Jing Xian didn't even smile at him, but she smiled at Yi Tianyin. What's there to try? He definitely can't enter. Even if he can, he is much weaker than us. Are you interested in this guy? Zhu Xing was furious. He had already decided that Jing Xian was his woman. If she smiled at other men, it meant that she was unwilling. I still have to try. Yi Tianyin smiled indifferently, completely ignoring Zhu Xing. Jing Xian also ignored Zhu Xing, completely ignoring him. Soon after, Yi Tianyin went to the gate, and threw a drop of essence blood on the gate. With a flash of golden light, a line of words appeared on the gate. Middle stage Grand Star Venerable, less than 10,000 years old, talent of the extreme grade. Less than 200,000 years old, and a Grand Star Venerable can enter. Less than 10,000 years old. Everyone wondered if they had seen it wrong. It was actually less than 10,000 years old. The cultivation ages of Jing Xian, and the others were already terrifying. Now there was one less than 10,000 years old. This number was too vague. There was no detailed value. Whether it was 8,000 years old, 5,000 years old, or 9,000 years old, it was not marked. This proved that this gate's value was not very accurate. It was a bit messy. No matter what, being less than 10,000 years old was enough to shock everyone. The group of people sucked in a breath of cold air, thinking that they were really seeing things. Chapter 2232. Less than 10,000 years old. This explosive news kept circling in their heads, shocking them silly. Even Jing Xian was shocked by this information. It was beyond her expectations. Less than 10,000 years old. Yi Tianyin felt like his mind was in a mess. He did not even remember exactly how old he was. After some calculations, he was actually only a few thousand years old. He should be 3,000 or 4,000 years old. Fortunately, the most accurate information was not marked. If it was really said that he was 3,000 or 4,000 years old, it would be even more frightening. Being marked 9,000 years old was already frightening enough, let alone 3,000 or 4,000 years old. As for that superb talent, there was nothing much to say about that. If he could not get a superb talent like that, what would a truly superb talent be like? That's too exaggerated. Reaching the great star venerable realm before 10,000 years old. Tianyuan and the others gasped. They looked at Tianyun in a different light. It was not just them. Even Chu Hutong and the others looked at him in a different light. Their eyes were filled with shock. They all wanted to rope him in. If he could reach this level at such a young age, what would happen if he was given a little more time? Wouldn't it be easy for him to break through to the divine star venerable realm? However, it was really easy for him to break through to the divine star venerable realm at such a young age. He was already in the middle stage of the great star venerable realm at such a young age. If he was given a few tens of thousands of years and used some resources, wouldn't he be able to soar into the sky? No, that's impossible. Absolutely impossible. How can someone break through to the great star venerable realm before 10,000 years old? There must be a problem. Zhu Xing shouted with bloodshot eyes. He was blown away by this scene. He had previously mocked Yi Tianyan for being so old. Now Zhu Xing's age was truly explosive. He was at least 10 times older than Yi Tianyan. In terms of seniority, Zhu Xing was equivalent to Yi Tianyan's ancestor. However, in the cultivation world, seniority was not determined by age, but by cultivation. The two of them were on equal footing. Is there a problem? Why don't you show me if there's a problem with the message? Yi Tianyan smiled indifferently, then turned to look at Tianyuan and the others. I'll be going in first. Miss Tian, you should be able to enter. Following Yi Tianyan, he passed through the light door and walked inside, waiting for Tian Xinghuan to enter. Heavenly Star Ring was taken aback. Then, it started testing and confirmed that it had indeed reached the standard. Below 180,000 years of age and below average talent, they had met the requirements and could enter. As for the others, including Tianyuan, they did not meet the requirements. They were all over 200,000 years old, and could not enter. After Heavenly Star Ring entered, Jing Xian followed him. She could not be bothered with the somewhat deranged Zhu Xing. Sister Jingxin, wait for me. Zhu Xing gritted his teeth, lifted his foot and walked inside, quickly disappearing into the light door. His face was burning hot. That was the effect of being slapped in the face. Yi Tianyun's words made him feel extremely awkward. He wanted to refute, but he couldn't. Heavenly Star Ring's test showed that there was nothing wrong with the door. His judgment was also very accurate. After they all entered, a few people tried to rush in, but when they touched the light door, they were fiercely bounced back. They could not enter at all. This was the case for those who did not meet the requirements. They could not enter at all. My God, a great star venerable less than 10,000 years old. Chu Hutong and the others were dumbfounded. They were still in shock. Jing Xian did not want us to be enemies with him because of this reason. They all felt their blood run cold. Even though Yi Tianyan's cultivation was not as good as theirs, given his talent, did he have a peerless powerhouse behind him, such as a divine star venerable, as his master? Without a powerhouse supporting him, it was absolutely impossible for him to break through so quickly. After all, no matter how talented he was, he still needed resources. Without resources, how could he break through? For example, the star dermic phase level needed resources to improve. Without resources, it was impossible to break through. The time and manpower consumed in all aspects were extremely great. All of a sudden, they immediately thought that Yi Tianyan had a powerhouse supporting him. What's up with that companion of yours? Which faction's genius is he from? Chu Hutong looked in Tianyuan's direction and stared at him. He wanted to get some information from Tianyuan. I can only say that it's a very mysterious faction. So mysterious that even I don't know much about it. It's my good fortune to have met this brother. Tianyuan smiled mysteriously. It seemed that this was really the case. He did not know much about Yi Tianyan. He knew which faction he belonged to and the general situation. However, he did not know why he had broken through so quickly. Perhaps after they separated, Yi Tianyan had met a peerless powerhouse helping him with his cultivation. No matter what, he knew he had to be mysterious to intimidate the powerhouses of these factions, so that they would not act recklessly. As expected, after he said that, their gazes all changed. There was no doubt that Yi Tianyan had a powerhouse supporting him. Could Zhu Xing have caused some trouble inside? The elders of the Zhu family started to worry. After all, Zhu Xing often caused trouble, and he liked Jing Xian very much. But at the moment, Jing Xian treated Yi Tianyan quite well. Zhu Xing was a person who could easily cause trouble. If Yi Tianyan really had a super powerhouse supporting him, wouldn't the Zhu family be implicated? They could only hope that Zhu Xing would not act recklessly. If he brought trouble to the Zhu family, it would be terrible. They had never disciplined Zhu Xing. They just let him do whatever he wanted. They looked at each other and saw shock in each other's eyes. At the same time, they also wanted to know how to get inside. They could not just wait outside like idiots, could they? The requirements of the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion were too high. They had to meet such a high standard to get inside. At the same time, after passing through the light door, Yi Tianyan saw a row of weapons floating in the air. They were all star venerable level treasures. At a glance, there were at least 100 star venerable level treasures, which shocked Yi Tianyan. He had opened many treasure vaults outside, but he had not found a single star venerable level treasure. But there were 100 star venerable level treasures here. So many star venerable level treasures. Tianxing Huan was also shocked by this scene when he had followed them in. He wanted to rush over and take one right away, but Yi Tianyan stopped him. Don't be impulsive. This place is not so simple. Yi Tianyan looked around, his eyes flashing. He wanted to see this place clearly. When he wanted to see the surroundings clearly, a figure had already dashed over to the pile of treasures. It was Zhu Xing, who had followed them in. When he had seen so many treasures, he would have dashed over directly instead of standing there like a fool. Chapter 2233. Zhu Xing dashed over without hesitation. How could he not be tempted when he saw so many star venerable level treasures? So as soon as he came out, he went straight to those weapons, trying to get as many as he could. A bunch of fools. They don't even dare to take the treasures when they see them. Zhu Xing laughed at Yi Tianyan and the others. They had come in ahead of time, but they didn't choose to take the treasures. Wasn't that the behavior of fools? While he was dashing over, a dreadful power suddenly came from the surface of the treasures in front of him. It sent him flying. In the end, he hit the wall heavily. Zhu Xing groaned. He felt his blood tumbling in his body. A trickle of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He was apparently badly injured. It seemed he had bounced back casually, but the rebound power was not light at all. Zhu Xing had almost been seriously injured due to the intense shock. If he hadn't been strong enough, he would have been seriously injured. If that happened, he would have been lucky to be able to leave, let alone take the treasures. Yi Tianyan looked at Zhu Xing as if he was looking at an idiot. He had felt something was wrong as soon as he had come in. It was easy to figure it out. If they had come in, they wouldn't have been able to take any treasures. What was the point? There are a lot of treasures, but you need brains to take them. Yi Tianyan mocked him. Zhu Xing had mocked him a lot, so he didn't mind hitting him when he was down. Tianxing laughed. Fortunately, Yi Tianyan had stopped her. Otherwise, she would have ended up like Zhu Xing. It was undeniable that Zhu Xing had a bad temperament. Even if he was talented, so what? He was not smart enough. He was too impulsive, which led to such a stupid ending. Fortunately, it was just a simple rebound. If it had been some powerful great formation, he would have died without a whole corpse. Zhu Xing's face turned pale. He hadn't expected such a situation. He hadn't thought much before. He had dashed in after seeing so many treasures. After all, the treasure houses outside had been opened, and people could take treasures at will. There were no traps in them. He hadn't expected there to be a great formation protecting this place. He couldn't take those treasures at all. Who are you calling stupid? Zhu Xing jumped up. At the same time, he quickly adjusted his internal injuries. He stared coldly at Yi Tianyan, filled with killing intent. It was undeniable that Yi Tianyan was more talented than him, and he was younger than him. However, Yi Tianyan was only a Grand Star Venerable at the moment, the same as him. Under such circumstances, Zhu Xing was not afraid of Yi Tianyan. No matter how talented a cultivator was, if his cultivation was low, a slightly stronger cultivator could easily crush him. Even if their talents were worlds apart, he could still easily suppress his opponent. Who do you think I'm talking about? Yi Tianyan said indifferently. It's important to know one's own limits. To be so reckless, do you really think we're stupid? Seeing so many treasures and not taking them? Yi Tianyan's expression was indifferent, and then he couldn't be bothered to pay any attention to Chen Shi. Yi Tianyan moved his gaze towards the row of treasures before him. Brat, I'm going to kill you. Zhu Xing roared furiously and charged towards Yi Tianyan. Yi Tianyan didn't move at all. Tian Xinghuan's heart tightened. Seeing him not moving, Tian Xinghuan wanted to warn him. However, she found that Yi Tianyan didn't care about Zhu Xing at all. Zhu Xing thought that Yi Tianyan couldn't react in time, so he punched him. However, before his punch could hit Yi Tianyan, a thick shield bounced Zhu Xing back. He tumbled in the air for a few times and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was seriously injured again. Cough, cough, cough. What's going on? Zhu Xing felt dizzy. Why did even Yi Tianyan have a shield on him? I said you're stupid, so you're stupid. Yi Tianyan shook his head. Zhu Xing was really pitiful. He had nothing but talent. He didn't even have a brain. He didn't even know what was going on around him. What was the point of relying on talent? His cultivation was strong, but it wasn't strong enough to defy the heavens. If he really wanted to do whatever he wanted, he had to become invincible. It didn't matter if he had a brain or not. However, the problem was, could he become invincible? According to the judgment of the Violet Gold Divine Pavilion, he was only an average talent. It would be extremely difficult to become invincible. Young Master Zhu, don't be reckless. Not only are there problems with the treasures in front, but we are also protected by the energy here. Jing Xian kindly reminded. This should be a test for us. Moreover, we can't attack each other. When Jing Xian came in, she didn't act impulsively. Instead, she stayed outside and watched. Only Zhu Xing was extremely impulsive. He wanted to take the treasures he saw, which resulted in him being sent flying. Sending him flying once wasn't enough. He also wanted to hit Yi Tianyan. That was even more hilarious. He didn't even want to observe. Who could he blame for getting hit? Zhu Xing's face turned red. He made a fool of himself in front of Jing Xian, and couldn't regain his face. He felt extremely sullen. All this while, when had he ever felt so sullen? Sister Jing Xian is still the one who cares about me. Zhu Xing stood up and smiled as if nothing happened. No, it's just that our families have a good relationship. I'm just reminding you out of goodwill. Jing Xian's expression was indifferent. It was impossible for her to be moved by him. She only chose to remind him because their families had a good relationship. Zhu Xing clenched his teeth and didn't continue this topic. Instead he asked, then Sister Jing Xian, what do you think of this place? He wasn't good in this area. Everything he faced, he would just rush forward and use his cultivation to suppress the opponent. Encountering this type of grand formation, he was at a loss. It wasn't that he didn't have time to cultivate. It was just that he didn't want to learn. From his point of view, if the other elders could do it, why would he need to cultivate? I can't see that. Jing Xian looked at Yi Tianyan and smiled. I wonder what do you think, young Master Tianyan? She would only smile when facing Yi Tianyan, but when facing Zhu Xing, her face was cold. Such a gap made Zhu Xing's heart burn with jealousy. He wanted to kill Yi Tianyan to vent his anger. What do you think? Yi Tianyan shook his head. I can't see it. I wanted to focus on watching, but who knew someone would come and cause trouble? They all knew who Yi Tianyan was talking about. If you can't see it, then you can't see it. Don't talk nonsense over there. Zhu Xing said sternly. Oh, even if I can't see it, it's better than you bumping into it, right? Yi Tianyan retorted, making Zhu Xing's face turn green and white. Talking more to Yi Tianyan would only bring humiliation to himself. Most importantly, he couldn't refute. Immediately, he shut his mouth, thinking about how to deal with Yi Tianyan when he gets out of here. Chapter 2234. Yi Tianyan observed carefully. There were over 100-star venerable level treasures here, but they were all covered by a shield, so he could only see them but not take them. Other than the piles of treasures, there was only a passageway that led to an unknown region. There were over 100-star venerable level treasures outside the passage. Even if he could not take all of them, he could at least take one. In fact, he could take one. They looked to the side. Yi Tianyan and Tianxing Huan were both smiling, while Zhu Xing's face turned livid. There was a stone tablet next to them, with detailed rules carved on it. Anyone who enters can take a treasure as a reward. It is also the only weapon you can take. You can't use any outside weapon. Violators will be severely punished. If you can't take it, you will be regarded as empty-handed, and you can't use any outside weapon. Besides, you can't attack other challengers. Otherwise, you will be punished. It was engraved clearly on the stone tablet. However, Zhu Xing rushed in and directly rushed forward without even glancing at the stone tablet. It was like he had come to an exam, but he rushed forward without even looking at the questions. First, he wanted to take a large number of star venerable level treasures, and then he wanted to attack Yi Tianyan. Both of them were against the rules. He could only take one treasure. Now that he had taken a large number of them, he would be lucky if he did not die. This is interesting. Yi Tianyan smiled. He found the stone tablet ridiculous when he saw it, which made Zhu Xing feel even more embarrassed. Everyone can take a star venerable level treasure. Tianxing Huan's eyes lit up. That meant they had 2-star venerable level treasures right away. They were only one away from 3. It was a pity that Tian Yuan could not enter. Otherwise, he would have taken 3-star venerable level treasures. After giving them to the Tian family, Tianxing Huan would cut off all ties with them. Actually, with their abilities, the Tian family could not do anything to them as long as they lived in seclusion. They were 2 grand star venerables. It would not be easy to deal with them. However, Tianxing Huan and Tian Yuan were not so heartless. They gave the 3 treasures to the Tian family, so that they could cut off all ties with the Tian family. Then let's start choosing our weapons. It seems like this rule will greatly affect the situation later on. Yi Tianyan's eyes flashed. According to the rules, he could only use this weapon. This meant that there would definitely be a battle later on. If he couldn't obtain this weapon, he would have to leave empty-handed. He would certainly be at a disadvantage if he faced an opponent with a star venerable weapon empty-handed. Then they began to choose their weapons. There were more than 100 weapons, all of which were different and had their own effects. As such, he had to choose carefully. At the very least, he had to choose one that was compatible with him. He had to choose from the attributes and weapon types. The 4 of them immediately began to choose, slowly looking around. There was no need to be afraid of sneak attacks here. Everyone had their own barriers, so there was no need to worry about any big problems appearing. While they were choosing, a figure walked in from outside. When he saw so many treasures, he pounced on them without saying a word. Needless to say, the result was more or less the same as Zhu Xing. He was sent flying and almost suffered heavy injuries. Another impulsive cultivator. Yi Tianyan shook his head and glanced at the cultivator casually. It was a male cultivator in the early stage of Great Star Venerable Realm. His talent was definitely not bad, and he was not old either. What's going on? The male cultivator adjusted his qi and blood, then rose to his feet. When he looked over, he was met with a mocking gaze. So it's the Mujia's Muhua. I didn't expect that you would also be able to come in. Zhu Xing said sarcastically from the side. He finally saw someone who was as impulsive as him. So it's Big Brother Zhu. I was a bit lucky and almost couldn't get in. Muhua's face was filled with respect. How could he not know who Zhu Xing was? Just the family behind Zhu Xing was enough for him to be respectful. Then another familiar figure came in. It was Tian Kuangyue. There was no need to mention Tian Kuangyue. He could be considered an old acquaintance. When Tian Kuangyue saw Heavenly Starlink, his eyes narrowed. Starlink, you're here as well. The Mu family and the Tian family still have geniuses who meet the standard. Although they aren't as heaven-defying as the Zhu family and the Chu family, there is still one who meets the requirement of being under 200,000 years old. Heavenly Starlink didn't give him a good look. She was already annoyed by his constant pursuit, so how could she pay attention to Tian Kuangyue? Seeing that Heavenly Starlink ignored him, Tian Kuangyue didn't let her go. Heavenly Starlink, don't be so stubborn. Come back to the Tian family with me. Tian Kuangyue, don't continue this topic with me. It's impossible for me to go back to the Tian family. Heavenly Starlink coldly said. You're really stubborn, too stubborn. I'll beat you until you wake up. Tian Kuangyue coldly snorted and walked towards the treasures. He saw the stone tablet the moment he came in, so he wasn't as impulsive as Mu Hua and Zhu Xing. This made Yi Tianyan quite appreciate it. Or rather, the reason why he came in here was because of Heavenly Starlink. It also meant that the Heavenly Star Ring was even more precious than those treasures. In Tian Kuangyue's heart, this was indeed the case. However, Tian Kuangyue was very loyal, so it was impossible for him to betray the Tian family. This Tian Kuangyue is quite fond of you. Yi Tianyan interrupted from the side. I know he and I are childhood sweethearts, and the family also wants me to marry him. Heavenly Starlink indifferently said, but I don't have a good impression of him, so I only treat him as an older brother. Now, I hate the Tian family and don't want to go back, but he still forcefully dragged me back. Even if I like him, I don't have a good impression of him. Heavenly Starlink was very clear about this. If she still didn't understand this, then she was really stupid. Tian Kuangyue had made it clear that he wanted to marry her. All right then, let's choose our weapons, lest someone else chooses them. Yi Tianyan's eyes quickly focused on a long saber. Last time he used the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, he felt that it was quite useful. Now he decided to choose a long saber. This long saber was engraved with densely packed golden star patterns. If one observed it carefully, they would see that it was a lightning bolt, which represented the power of the thunder attribute. The power of the thunder attribute didn't really suit him. He didn't have any thunder attribute power, but this didn't stop him from using this weapon. The tyrannical power of the thunder attribute was just right for him. This one. Yi Tianyan arrived below the long saber, and directly reached out to grab it. As he reached out, he easily penetrated the shield. As long as he didn't absorb a large number of weapons at once, he could easily pass through the shield. Just as he was about to touch the long saber, a terrifying lightning force surged out from the long saber, and quickly electrocuted his arm, which had reached in. Chapter 2235. If he wanted to get this star venerable level treasure, he would have to pay a price. As soon as Yi Tianyan put his hand in, his arm was electrocuted by the thunder power of the weapon. As he went deeper, the degree of the electrocution became more and more terrifying, and its power became more and more powerful. The power of this level was quite shocking. It was at least equal to a late-stage star venerable, and it started to attack him fiercely. The reason why it had such power was that the star venerable level treasure was a middle-grade treasure. A medium-grade star venerable level treasure had the power of a late-stage star venerable. If it was a high-grade treasure, wouldn't it be even more powerful? Of course, there was no high-grade star venerable level treasure as far as the eye could see. The highest level was only medium-grade. Yi Tianyan chose it not only because it met his needs, but also because it was already the highest level. He would not choose a lower-level treasure just because it met his needs. Even if it was not suitable for him, he would still choose a higher-level treasure. No matter what, a higher-level treasure was the most powerful. Therefore, even if he was not familiar with that weapon, he would take it first. Fortunately, he was lucky. The long saber in front of him was not only of a higher level, but also suitable for him. The only problem was the attribute. He did not have this attribute in his body, so he could not use the full power of the saber. He was quite satisfied with this. As long as it was useful, he would not ask for too much. Interesting. This power is just SOSO for me. Yi Tianyan continued to reach out to grab that long saber. The long saber kept emitting thunder power, which kept roaring at Yi Tianyan. However, no matter how he roared or how much power he exerted, Yi Tianyan's hand did not slow down at all, as if he could not feel it at all. In fact, the situation was quite troublesome. The speed at which Yi Tianyan's hand went and became much slower, as if he was stuck in a quagmire. His speed became slower and slower. The injury on his arm also became more and more serious. Open! Yi Tianyan's eyes lit up. The green demon divine star's star Dharma Laksana burst out from his back. The vitality in the surroundings was quickly absorbed to help him recover from his injury. There was no way to forcefully attack here. Smashing everything in one go would only make the situation worse. Who could smash open the barrier of the violet gold divine pavilion? Even a divine star venerable wouldn't be able to do this. Therefore, everyone had to obediently stretch out their hands to grab it. This was the only way. Looking around, all the trial takers were doing the same. They were all reaching out to grab their favorite weapons. Most of them aimed at middle-grade star venerable level treasures. They weren't fools, and they all knew the benefits of a high-grade treasure. From the weapons they had been using, one could tell how big the gap was. The overall effect would be different if he was stronger by a level. However, whether or not he could obtain it depended on his own ability. Mu Hua was sent flying. His face was deathly pale, and his hand had long since been scorched black. A burning smell wafted in all directions. It was obvious that he had been roasted by the flames to the point where he couldn't get any closer. He was forced to retreat and almost lost half of his body. What a strong power! Mu Hua clenched his teeth. After staring at the fiery red long sword in front of him for a while, he had no choice but to change his target to another weapon of a lower grade. Mu Hua's cultivation wasn't good enough, so he could only give up. He settled for the next best thing, choosing a weapon of a lower grade. It wasn't just Mu Hua. Even the Heavenly Star Ring and Tian Kuangyue had to settle for the next best thing, choosing a low-grade star venerable level treasure. They were all unwilling to give up. They all wanted to get a middle-grade star venerable level treasure, but they had no choice. With their abilities, they could only choose a weapon of a lower grade. However, choosing a weapon of a lower grade was still quite powerful. It was like facing a middle-stage grand star venerable, and it was like fighting someone of a higher grade. Of course, it was still a little worse than fighting someone of a higher grade, but it was still quite difficult. As the rules stated, if they couldn't get it, they would really be fighting empty-handed. Candle Star's side was usually frivolous, but at the moment, they had no choice but to become serious. They focused on grabbing treasures, and in the end, they released their unique star Dharma forms. A giant scarlet wolf appeared behind him. This scarlet wolf was dark red, and every hair on it was like a sharp blade that could pierce through enemies at any time. This was a heavenly star scarlet wolf, the king of wolves. It could control all wolves and make them obey its commands. Besides, it also had great power and speed. After it was summoned, a thin layer of hard hair appeared on its body. To get this treasure, Candle Star had to summon his unique star Dharma forms. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take it out. Candle Star wasn't the only one. Jing Xian also released her power, and a divine lotus appeared behind her. This divine lotus emitted a faint divine light, as if it could deduce everything and simulate all illusions. After releasing it, Jing Xian's grabbing speed increased immediately. Most importantly, her body was enveloped by a faint divine light, as if it made her invincible. In fact, it wasn't invincible, but she entered a semi-invincible state, so attacks couldn't do any harm to her. As expected of the unique star Dharma forms, just the power on the surface is already so amazing. Yi Tianyan nodded as he observed the situation at the side. This was the first time he saw a unique star Dharma forms other than himself, so he definitely had to observe more. They released their unique star Dharma forms, but Yi Tianyan didn't need to do that. He just needed to use the star Dharma forms of the others to withstand the attacks. Come out! Zhu Xing let out a loud howl that sounded like the howl of a wolf. Soon after, he fiercely dragged out a huge sword and firmly held it in his hand. No matter how it moved, it couldn't leave his palm. The first one to get a weapon was Candle Star. He was indeed a genius with some ability. It wasn't a problem for him to subdue this treasure. He was usually a playboy, but in terms of power, he wasn't weak. Following closely behind him was Jing Xian. She also relied on her invincible golden body to drag out a jade staff. It landed on her palm, and a faint light floated from the jade staff. It was very compatible with Jing Xian. On the other hand, Yi Tianyun's side was slower. He was reaching inside bit by bit, as if it was very strenuous for him to take out the weapon. Ha ha ha. Weren't you so arrogant before? Why is it so difficult to take out a weapon now? Candle Star mocked him. He wouldn't let go of any opportunity to embarrass himself. Chapter 2236. Zhu Xing was full of disdain. When he sensed the power released by Yi Tianyun, he didn't take it seriously at all. The main thing was that he didn't have a unique Star Dharma idol. As long as he didn't have a unique Star Dharma idol, it didn't matter to him. He doesn't even have a unique Star Dharma idol. So what if he has a good talent? He is still one level lower. Zhu Xing finally found a sense of superiority in this regard. A unique Star Dharma idol was definitely more powerful than a level 6 Star Dharma idol. No matter how he improved it, he couldn't surpass the effect brought by a unique Star Dharma idol. It was undeniable that it was very difficult to improve a unique Star Dharma idol. But no matter how difficult it was, its rarity and foundation couldn't be compared to a level 6 Star Dharma idol. Therefore, in Zhu Xing's view, Yi Tianyun was still behind him. Even if he was more talented than him, it didn't matter. A unique Star Dharma idol meant that Yi Tianyun's potential was limited. A level 6 Star Dharma idol couldn't be improved into a unique Star Dharma idol. This was also what Zhu Xing was proud of. Jing Xian was sizing up Yi Tianyun curiously. She thought Yi Tianyun was very mysterious, and Yi Tianyun was very strong. But she didn't know the details. Seeing Yi Tianyun's progress was very slow, she wondered if she had sensed it wrong. She clearly felt that Yi Tianyun was in danger. He was like a lion that could tear people into pieces at any time. Soon, even Mu Hua took out his weapon. It was difficult, but he took it out anyway. After taking it out, Mu Hua was excited for a while. After all, it was a Star Venerable level treasure. No matter how low it was still a Star Venerable level treasure. My first Star Venerable level treasure. Mu Hua was very excited. But she didn't know whether she could take it out. Then Tian Kuangyue also took out a treasure, and so did Tian Xinghuan. Only Yi Tianyun didn't take out his weapon, as if he was stuck in it. It could be said that Yi Tianyun was at the bottom, which was quite unbearable. But it was not necessarily at the bottom. Other cultivators started to come in from the outside. There were still some geniuses from the other big clans. Perhaps they couldn't compare to Jing Xian, but at least they could come in. With these newcomers, Yi Tianyun was no longer at the bottom. However, in the eyes of Zhu Xing and the others, there was no one else who could match up to this standard. Although this weapon was heaven-defying, it wasn't that heaven-defying. It wasn't even a middle-grade Star Venerable weapon, nor was it a high-grade Star Venerable weapon. I can't stand it anymore. Little sister Jingxin, shall we go in first? Zhu Xing raised his head and felt very proud. His previous sense of defeat was gone. You go in first. Jing Xian didn't plan to go in first. Instead, she planned to stay here and guard. Zhu Xing looked at Jing Xian, and his expression changed. Jing Xian didn't want to go in with him because she wanted to wait for Yi Tianyun to go in together. Little sister Jingxin, are you waiting for him to go in together? What's the point? Don't tell me you're cooperating with him. If you really want to work with him, you might as well work with me. Zhu Xing sneered and said, he can't even take out his weapon now. Maybe he won't be able to take it out when the time comes. His level is even lower than mine. Young Master Zhu, it seems like you misunderstood something. I'm not cooperating with him at all. I just want to stay here and observe some things. Jing Xian faintly said from the side. What's there to see? No matter how the result changes, it won't change the fact that he can't get the treasure. Zhu Xing was very annoyed. He thought they were just wasting time. What's there to see about a loser? When Zhu Xing had just finished speaking, Yi Tianyun finally moved. He gently pulled the long knife out. It seemed like he had done it quite easily. By then, the wounds on Etienne's arms had disappeared quickly. His skin returned to its original tender state. The most important thing was that there was a lightning mark on his arm. I finally absorbed enough power of thunder. Etienne was quite satisfied. He hadn't wasted his time. He could have been the first one to take out his weapon. However, it was meaningless to do so. He needed to absorb a bit more power of thunder. When the time came, he would be able to use this weapon to burst out with even more power. At this moment, they immediately understood why Etienne took so long to take out his weapon. It was purely to absorb a bit more power of thunder. Inside this great array, there was a thunder and lightning array to prevent the challengers from taking out their weapons. Etienne took advantage of this effect. He fiercely absorbed it and stored it in his body. This kind of practice was generally not recommended. Sometimes it would cause a conflict with one's own power. It was not worth it. Etienne didn't need to worry about this. His body could contain all kinds of energy. He didn't need to worry about conflict. Otherwise, he wouldn't have casually absorbed it. Young Master Tianyan really has some ideas. Not only do you want to take away the weapon, you also want to absorb the energy. You're really brave. Jing Xian's beautiful eyes flickered. The smile on her face became wider and wider. It's okay. Anyway, for me, it doesn't matter who takes out the weapon first. Don't tell me there's a reward? Etienne shook his head. It was obvious who he was mocking. Humph. You don't even have a unique star aspect. How dare you be so arrogant? Zhu Xing's face was cold. He lifted his foot and walked inside. His previous mocking words were equivalent to slapping himself in the face. They all desperately wanted to take out their weapons, but Etienne was better. He absorbed the energy first and then came out. It was obvious who was stronger. However, in his heart, he still felt that he was a level higher than Etienne. In his eyes, a unique star aspect was a hurdle that Etienne could never overcome. Etienne didn't refute. He only revealed a faint smile. No one knew about his situation. That was the best. Let's go. Etienne followed. Now that he had the weapon, he naturally continued forward. Tian Xinghuan also smiled. She felt that Zhu Xing was really narrow-minded. Little did she know that Etienne also had a unique star aspect. She had seen it before. Naturally, she knew the truth. Jing Xian didn't say anything. No one knew what she was thinking. However, she followed them at a steady pace. It seemed she was determined to follow Etienne. As for Tian Kuangyue and the others, they also followed quickly. He just wanted to follow Tian Xinghuan. He wasn't interested in the treasures here. The rest of the cultivators who had just entered started to take out their weapons slowly. No one cared about the result. When they walked into a passage, their surroundings started to become transparent. Then, the scenery outside and even the situation under their feet became transparent. Under their feet was the maze they had just entered. The scenery around them was the scenery outside the purple gold divine pavilion. When they looked down from where they were, they could clearly see many star venerables outside the gate they had just entered. They were waiting for the result inside. Chapter 2237. When they entered the passageway, the situation around them immediately changed. It began to become transparent, which made them very surprised. Not only them, but also the people of the Chu family, who were waiting below, found that the situation was different. When they looked up, they could see Etienne and the others, as if the whole world had become transparent. In fact, not all the walls had disappeared. It was just that their line of sight had become wider. This allowed them to see the situation above in an instant. What's going on? Chu Hutong and the others were dumbfounded. They had never encountered such a situation. If they looked carefully, they could see their disciples up there. Those who could see it were excited, while those who could not see it were disappointed. They had just entered. Why didn't they appear up there? The cultivators who did not get the treasures would not go to the passage. They would only appear in front of them if they went inside. It's Mu Hua. Mu Jiefeng's eyes lit up. He was excited when he saw the disciple he had sent out. Tian Yueming, and the others of the Tian family, were also excited when they saw Tian Kuangyue. Tian Kuangyue and Tian Xinghuan went in successfully. I wonder what treasures they got. Tian Yueming was incomparably excited to see two of his own people appear inside. Naturally, he was very excited. Two disciples of the Tian family went in. That's one more than the other families. Tian Shengfeng was excited. Although Tian Xinghuan was against it and chose to leave the Tian family, they were still part of the Tian family in their hearts. Many families had come here in the end. It was not because they had seen something on the map, but because there was some disturbance, so they had rushed over. Since there were such violent disturbances, they naturally flew over. They could not fall behind others. However, they did not know what was going on or how to go in. Chu Hetong and the others did not bother to explain anything. They just let them explore. After fumbling for a while, they finally figured it out. Many elders of the families were there. If they could not figure it out, they would be fools. Those who could cultivate to the level of Great Star Venerables were certainly not fools. They would be able to figure out the problem after spending a little more time. But after entering, they had no idea what was going on inside. After waiting for a while, they saw the situation above them. Unknowingly, Yi Tianyun and the others appeared above them. In addition to being shocked, they were even more delighted. At the very least, they could see their own disciples appear in their line of sight, and they could see their disciples' actions. Not only that, but after the entire purple gold divine pavilion became transparent, a godly light shot into the sky and covered the entire desolate dragon star. Even Crimson Moon Star was covered by this godly light. At the same time, there was a line of words. Purple Gold Divine Pavilion is open. All cultivators are welcome to enter and train. It was as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know about it. It seemed that after it was triggered, it would be announced to the world and all the qualified cultivators would come over. This situation made many cultivators shake their heads and smile bitterly. It was basically impossible for them to sneak in. Yi Tianyun also saw the situation above. He felt that it was ridiculous for the giant beasts to want to secretly open this place and come in to take the treasures. After it was opened, the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion would release energy waves to let all the cultivators know that this was the right door. Why would they need to be secretive? The giant beasts had painstakingly done so much work, but in the end, it was all for naught. However, their plan was considered a success. At least, most of the families and forces were able to enter this place. Some of the weaker ones managed to sneak in. As for what the plan was, Yi Tianyun really couldn't guess. The Purple Gold Divine Pavilion is probably doing this to attract all the cultivators' attention here. Yi Tianyun had a general idea of why the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion did this. It was to give them a kind of training. This situation had never happened before, so naturally, no one knew about the existence of a training. When it was first opened, most of the cultivators probably couldn't find this door before the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion closed. Under such circumstances, it was normal that no one knew about it. Everyone thought that the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion had piles of treasures, and they could come in and plunder them. Who knew that the real reason was to attract cultivators? As for what these cultivators did, Yi Tianyun really couldn't figure out the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion's intentions. Generally speaking, this kind of relic palace was basically to choose an inheritor. However, looking at the Purple Gold Divine Pavilion's situation, it seemed like that was the case, but it also didn't seem like it. If they really wanted to choose an inheritor, it would have been activated right from the start. They wouldn't have searched for half a day before opening this training passage. As for the details, Yi Tianyun wasn't sure. He could only find out as he moved forward. However, before they could move forward, a few figures followed behind them. The other cultivators glanced at them and ignored them. With so many families entering, there must be many cultivators. Some of them were even wandering around the periphery, the kind that almost couldn't enter. They didn't pay much attention to them. Yi Tianyun focused his gaze and locked onto two of them. These two were not ordinary cultivators. They were from the Giant Beast clan. Indeed, the Giant Beast clan has sneaked in. Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. Unfortunately, he couldn't attack. Otherwise, he would have killed the two Giant Beast clan members on the spot. Since he couldn't kill them, he could only shift his attention to the front. Zhu Xing and the others had already walked forward, leaving only Tianqing Huan by his side. Even Jing Xian walked forward without waiting for him. As they were all curious about what was in front, they quickly walked forward. "Young Master Yi, what's wrong?" Tianqing Huan asked curiously. "It's nothing. Did you see the two who sneaked in? They are from the Giant Beast clan. If you cross paths with them in the future, please pay more attention," reminded Yi Tianyan. Giant Beast clan. Tianqing Huan widened his eyes and carefully observed the two. He really couldn't figure out what was going on. He didn't even know how he could tell that their true form was the Giant Beast clan. "Okay, let's go." Yi Tianyan took the lead and walked forward. After following them through a long passage, they soon arrived in another space. When he took the last step, what entered his eyes was a vast and boundless forest. Such a familiar scene reminded him of the divine beast domain. Roar! An angry roar came from afar, immediately letting them know that there were really giant beasts here. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.